live. Say hi to the people,
what's up, everybody?
George.
Welcome to the Great Northeast BJJ podcast. As usual, we have awesome guests and crappy hosts. The hosts haven't gotten any better on this episode. We got to, and as usual, we'll be pulling people in as it goes along. But right now, I'll introduce my friend Zach Adams, who is owner of Guardian BJJ in Dexter, Maine, and my friend Rich MCKEEGAN, who I don't even know what he's wearing. What are you wearing?
Dude, check that out.
Disney World.
Nice. It's the ugliest thing, but man, it's too nice. It's too sweet.
If you guys don't know Rich MCKEEGAN, here's the thing. He seems like a great guy. And I think, oh, he's a super nice guy. I love Rich MCKEEGAN. And then when I see him, I remember that he told me that he hates Van Halen and Alice in Chains.
No, I like Alice in Chains. Oh. It's Chris Cornell.
Oh, that's even worse.
Why?
You hate Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
He's
like that high-pitched screaming. I just don't like it. I appreciate him as an artist. I don't appreciate Van Halen.
Ben came at absolutely the worst time.
He came in
because you got four guys who are like, "Are you crazy? Who doesn't like Van Halen?" And whoever this rich guy is, who is just throwing.
Maybe Ben doesn't like Van Halen.
Firebombs. Well, he's gonna have to. He's got.
What are you talking about? I love Van Halen. 1984 classic album.
See? Come on.
So what did you call them? Riddler?
Awesome?
Porn metal?
What are you talking about?
Porn metal? Their style of music.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, maybe stripper metal? I don't know. I don't remember what I said, but all I know is they go. The first band that could swing and rock and also have David Lee Roth at the same time.
But what about Aerosmith?
Look, I come from. Well, first, Aerosmith, Steven Tyler's from New Hampshire, right? So you got that to deal with, right? I live right next to Boston, so you're not going to get me to say anything negative about Aerosmith. But
no, one thing is, aren't they before Van Halen with that style of music?
No.
They had that kind of swing.
Same time.
Yeah, well, I mean, so did Robin Trower, but I mean, it's not the same thing, man. Of course, you're not old enough to know what I'm talking about, so there you go. Anyway, this is Off the Rails. George, take on the...
Ben Roy, my friend, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me. This has already started off amazing. Everybody's heated about the right kind of stuff. I dig that.
Dude, these are the important things. Like, like I was saying before you got on here, Rich and I, we go way back. And when I think of Rich, I always think, oh, what a great guy. And then I bring him on the podcast, and I'm like, man, I thought we kicked him off the podcast.
He is. Rich is a legit good guy, just questionable music decisions. But, you have to love what you have to love. There's nothing worse than saying you love something when you don't love it, right? I mean,
oh, yeah. How many people wear T-shirts of bands you're like, you don't listen to that? Like, Joy Division. I don't know how many Joy Division T-shirts I see. Have you ever tried to listen to Joy Division? It's hot dog shit. It's not good music. Do you like Joy Division, Zach?
Yeah.
Well,
the whole Manchester, England scene. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I can't do it, and I love punk rock, and I know that it's definitely what led to punk and hardcore, but it's I can't do that. I can't do it. But
I can go with your point, though. I mean, the number of times you see the T-shirt and you're like, not only do you not listen to that band, but you've never been to any of those shows,
Exactly.
It's different now, but, back when you used to go to, 2 or 3 shows a week, that kind of thing, it's like a badge of honor. You can't wear Scorpions if you didn't see Scorpions. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
Rich, could you at least pick a band that we all love that you love? How about that? Can we just put it to bed?
You know what? So two. It's like I'm a diehard Mighty Mighty Boss Stones fan.
Okay.
I've seen them 20, 25 times. Absolutely love them. And then it just popped up on my memories, but the Foo Fighters. I've seen them twice at Fenway. Actually, I saw them at Fenway with the Boston's opening for them. Best concert.
I saw that show with you. I was
what a weird lineup.
Over in that area.
Foo Fighters and Boston's. That's an interesting.
Well, Ben, this was at Fenway, right? So what happened was wherever the Foo were going on that tour, I'm sure you know, they were picking hometown bands to open for them, right? Awesome. And so they brought like Royal, I forget their name, the bass and drums thing exactly. And then the best part, I'm saying it, George, it's coming out. I'm gonna stand behind my opinion here. Best part of the time, I'm hanging. My younger kid is now old, and I'm like, can we see one more show together? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm taking you to Foo Fighters Fenway. We go, checking the show out. It's great. Boston's actually destroyed the place, completely full, beautiful day, great sound. Everything's great. Boston's on fire. The best part, Grohl comes out. You know it's going to be one of those who are going to pull out another band because they play a couple of songs, pull out a band. They're like, we got a special treat for you, Boston. It's your favorite guy, Sully Erna from Godsmack. And the whole place goes, and the guy comes out. And Sully's a great guy, but Godsmack, yeah. You know, and he did the whole thing where he was selling dream catchers on like late night television after a Carvel commercial and shit. So it just didn't, and the whole place was like, and they didn't boo him, but they were like,
yeah.
So Boston being Boston for you, Rich.
Shouldn't hurt Sully.
So everyone's got
like that.
Everyone's got to appreciate the Foo Fighters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Grohl did it on the throne that night. Remember?
Yes.
Yep. He broke his leg or something, and he just had a big funny thing, like a Game of Thrones looking thing with guitar necks.
But he like actually sang like a 20-minute song while they played the whole video of him, how he broke his leg and how he sat there and had the EMT hold his leg together while he finished the show. So I appreciate it quite a bit.
All right,
I'm gonna mute out. Go for it.
So we're back. This is how it goes, though. We don't talk that much about jiu-jitsu. So if you tuned in for jiu-jitsu, sorry. If you're not familiar with the Great Northeast BJJ podcast, let me tell you how it goes. It starts off nice, and then a few minutes in, everybody's making fun of me. So since in the intros, I get to make fun of you people. Yeah, so welcome.
People who don't know George, he's only this tall. and his head makes up for at least 65% of the weight of his body.
Guys,
he weighs
actual
like 105.
Actual size of George.
It's true.
It's true. So let me welcome my two newest friends to the podcast here. Greg Johnson, who I will say who got so disgusted with our last podcast that he was left. But now he's back for more.
Yes. I had to change a heart, and I plugged my iPad in.
You must really not have anything better to do. And my good friend Ben Moore, the active beer geek. Welcome, brother.
Hey, guys. Drinking it all together, actually, tonight.
This has turned into like a little bit of a Maine podcast here.
Who's
Zach
all from
Adams?
Maine?
Zach Adams representing Northern. Is that even considered Northern Maine?
I would call it Central, but
Whereabouts are you?
Dexter.
Oh, okay.
So
I think if you're anywhere
from
south,
anybody from Mass and New Hampshire, but really in Central.
I was gonna say, I think people from Portland might still consider Dexter's Northern Maine, just because we're so yuppie down here.
Yeah, it's that you guys are like North Boston, so it's fine.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I'm not gonna argue with that.
So they say that jiu-jitsu, you get a lot of, jiu-jitsu does all these wonderful things for you. And I'll tell you the positive thing jiu-jitsu did to me. A couple years ago, I was like, oh man, I bring my daughter, if you don't know, I bring her all over the place for jiu-jitsu stuff, and she sucks it up and sits on the mat for a whole day of, all over the country, all the time. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to bring you to Disney World. but I didn't know anything about Disney World, and it's Disney World is complicated. Like it's harder trip to put together than any other trip I've ever done. And so I put it out on Facebook. I was like, hey, who knows about Disney? Like, hook a brother up. Tell me what's up. And all of a sudden, all these closet Disney freaks started coming out, and Zach Adams and Rich McKeegan, red belts in Disney.
Red belts in Disney.
And I had the time of my life, dude. And I was through a couple days in, and I'm taking pictures with the evil stepmother and Disney princesses, and I was like, I get it now. This is great.
No, I gotta give that credit to my wife. My wife she's absolutely ridiculous. She actually she went to UConn and then graduated and then took a job down in Florida just to get out of Connecticut. Her first job was at Disney World, and she was driving the safari truck at the Animal Kingdom. So cool. It's like she did that.
Oh, you have a Disney insider. That always helps.
So then from there,
they know about the tunnels and all the craziness.
Yep. She works for ESPN now. So she's been with ESPN and Disney Company we just celebrated her 20 years. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Got to go see Bob Iger over at New York City and hang out for the night. This huge big party that they gave her, and it was cool. So, but she knows every turn, every corner of Disney World. She's amazing. When we go on vacation, I'm just like, I'll pack my bag night before and I show up. That's it. That's all I do.
Sweet.
Did she say it was a good experience working for them?
Working with Disney World?
Yeah. Were they good employers?
Yeah, Disney World takes care of their people. She loves ESPN. It's like they're definitely different.
Who has stricter rules?
Yeah, I've never worked for a corporate company in my life. It's like I've worked in the restaurant industry for 20 years. Then I did some substance abuse and alcohol rehab counseling, and now I just run a jiu-jitsu academy. So I've never had that corporate. It's weird as hell listening to her on like phone calls and business calls. It's a completely different language. It's almost like watching a sitcom, listening to it.
Well, Disney has its own language on top of that.
God, yeah. But ESPN's awesome.
I had family and friends who've worked for them, and they it's all still magical to them. But when you go back to the Disney, like Disneyland, I have family who worked at Disneyland. When you go back to tour with them, they know like every little nook and cranny. They have like it's almost magical. Then certain parts, they start to have flashbacks of getting yelled at and different parts. They're like, yeah, we don't want to go to that part because I would get in trouble there.
Disneyland is definitely different.
Zach Adams, how'd you get into this Disney thing, man?
Well,
look at you're at Disney right now.
I know. That's, there we go.
You got the whole park to yourself.
Yeah, social distancing and all makes it easy. My parents are Disney people, and amusingly enough, I was very anti-Disney until I had a kid, and then I went as an adult. Actually, my parents were like, "We're taking your kid at 3 years old. You're coming too," and 10 days into it, I'm sitting there watching a fireworks show, crying my eyes out, and now I'm just addicted.
I grew up going there, man. I mean, I think it's growing up in Maine, that was like the vacation spot. So like I probably went like 6 or 7 times during my upbringing, and it definitely like holds a nostalgic place. Like I still think about, like, I wouldn't want to work there because I wouldn't want to ruin that nostalgia. There was it's still magical as like a kid, the way I see it, because I see it from a child's point of view. And so I would be afraid if I got a job there and I saw how the sausage is made. I'd be so fucking bummed. I'd be like, what do you mean? This is just a tunnel under this thing? It's not magic? And then I'd just stomp off. I still want to drive a monorail, though. I don't know about all you, but...
Yeah, my godkid's mother works for Disney, and so we kind of know how the sausage is made, but that just kind of gets us behind the scenes tours and stuff like that, which is kind of fun.
See, I was a kid in class who didn't get to go to Disney World growing up, and I was bitter all growing up, but I didn't realize I was going to Disneyland. Like, I thought I was getting really gypped because I would get taken to Disneyland every year, and I didn't get to go because my mom's family was from California. So all my friends over Christmas would get to go down to, that's usually when they would all from classes go down to Disney World. And I didn't go to Disney World till this last year for my first time. And I went the first day, and then it rained the whole time. I was there for a jiu-jitsu camp. And I actually like threw in the towel and just hung out near the pool and didn't do anything most of the week. So I totally lamed out on that. But I went one really full day at Disney World and was like, after we were told we need to pick which park we're going to go to each day, I was like, wait, what? You mean there's more than one or two? And I realized how confusing it was, and everyone had their own opinion. And I just decided I'm just going to chill by the pool, which we stayed at a resort that was gigantic and had a moving ship inside the lake, inside the lobby. So that was gigantic. Then it was his own amusement park itself.
Jesus,
so,
where did you stay?
The Gaylord Palms, I think that's what it's called, or Gaylord Hotel.
Yeah.
All I know is it was like 10 minutes from Disney, I think, and it had like this giant. It reminded me. It basically was like a giant ship going through the middle of the lake inside the lobby, and it had like a water park, like pools and stuff in the back. So I basically was like, this is just as good. I'm just gonna stay here. I don't have to get up and go past that far from my room. So we were training every day. So we were training every day with Huron and Henner. So
could you ride the ship in the lobby? Is it something you could get on?
There was animals and alligators everywhere in like the closed off areas in the water, and you could like walk up. We were like looking at the alligators. At first I thought one was fake, and then I was like, oh, that's cool. All these kids are like looking at the fake alligator, and then it moved its head and like walked and like over towards everyone. And I was like, I mean, everyone was like plenty safe away from everybody, but it was like, oh wow, okay, this is like an interactive lobby. Cool.
You know what's cool, man, is they have in one part, Disney Springs or whatever, the cars that are actually boats. And you see people cruising around in cars in the canals. I was like, look at, like, and I'll tell you another thing that was really cool, and I was jealous of my kid, was Andrea got to do the Jedi training. Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
What is Riddler doing right now?
Riddler's showing us where the places that don't allow me.
Yeah, that's it.
This is the same people who own like the Grand Old Opryland Hotel, right? Like it's like,
I think so.
Yeah, because it's a giant greenhouse in the center of it, right?
Yep, that's it.
I think I went to a wedding there one time.
That's impressive.
Holy shit.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, I got lost there the first day, and then the next day was Disney, and after training and like everything else, and I had, my friend was with me who's not annoying to travel with, but I had to like think for him the whole time. So I finally was like, you know what, I'm going to go chill by the pool. So
yeah, but in that hotel, you don't have to go anywhere.
Well, you didn't see any of where the actual pools are. The pools are on a whole other section that's behind all of that. That's its own outdoor like amusement park area with like a beach pool and everything. And I actually the day I was going to go, Huron goes, hey, you want to go hang out by the pool? And I was like, sure, I'll go hang out by the pool. And so I went and sat down by the pool with them, and we're just chatting and playing and like just relaxing. And I was like, this is way more relaxing than like having to walk everywhere in the park. So.
It's exhausting, man. Ben Moore, you ever been to Disney World?
Last time I was there, I was 16, and I wish I would have gone since then. But I remember as a family, we went to like Islands of Adventure or whatever. It's not really a park, but it had like a bunch of stand-up comedy like troops there, like a bunch of little clubs that you can do like improv or like other stand-up comedy. And I'm like, throughout all of my adulthood, I'm like, I remember that more than I remember like going to any of the parks.
Yeah, that whole thing is completely gone now. It's like they have Disney Springs, which is actually pretty cool. It's like they did a really nice job with that. But if you don't plan it ahead of time, it's like you're going to miss 80% of everything. It's just so massive, and there's so much to do. You have to plan everything. My wife has like an itinerary when we go. It sounds like a little nuts. Then we're not spending 3 hours in line for one ride. That's when it's like people go and they said they get on 2 rides and they're, you know, there for 10 hours. It's like, yeah, that's kind of a wasted day. That would piss me off too.
I'm coming on 100 days spent at the parks overall, and I still haven't done everything. There are still things I haven't done.
That's crazy.
Jeez, that's crazy. It's funny. I was telling somebody like on Spaceship Earth. I remember being a kid and going up through it, and there was one point when you go, because I think Spaceship Earth was basically about the history of communication and whatnot.
Correct.
And like there was a part I remember when I was a kid where you went into like you were in like a futuristic child's bedroom, and I remember the audio animatronic kid was laying on the floor and he was talking to his mom through his television screen that was a flat screen. And I remember thinking, holy shit, you can talk to people through the friggin' television. How cool is that? And then now we're at this point where I'm like, I don't really want to talk to people like this anymore. I'd like to go back to like actually having real conversations with human beings. It's like,
I was going to say, we're doing that right now.
I know, second nature now. But I remember being a kid and they were like predicting like Skype and things like that. And I remember that blowing my mind about Disney. Like that was my favorite ride.
Foxy Brown.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Foxy.
That's like my favorite. That's probably one of my favorite rides there from my memory.
That's currently cool down ride. For a 2-year refurb. They're going to be redoing the second half of it, so it's still going to be futuristic because pretty much everything that's in it that's futuristic is behind us now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We've moved beyond that. We've gone.
You been to Star Wars yet? Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, that's mint. That's amazing.
It's like I turned into a 7-year-old kid again. It was incredible.
I did the build a lightsaber.
Ben, you're out in California right now, right?
I actually live both places, but right now I'm in Denver. Like
you're in Denver, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So where's Galaxy's Edge?
Galaxy's Edge is the.
I know. Is it in California or is it in?
Is it?
Sorry for my
always
noob question.
God. No, they have that in both parks.
Yeah,
it was like that was a huge add-on for Star Wars. So
both parks.
Both parks.
Ah, wow! I had no idea.
So we went before Galaxy's Edge, but there was still like Star Wars stuff. And Andrea they were like, she did the Jedi training. She got to go up there, like practice, and then she got to fight Darth Vader. And I was like, dude, this is unbelievable.
What is that? Like that's a ride? You get to fight Darth Vader?
No, it's like a performance. You can go up and like interact. At least in California, it's like a performance with like a Jedi training temple, and then you can, if you're a little kid, you get trained by the Jedi, and then you at the end fight Vader.
I you could fly. You can fly the Millennium, right? Like you can actually like get in the cockpit, and it's like a video ride. Right? Basically, it moves.
If you go on my actual Facebook page, my profile picture is me sitting at the space hollow chess board in the Millennium Falcon.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Do you guys know if there's anything like Club 33 at Disney World?
It's in process being built.
Okay. Does anybody know what Club 33 is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I don't.
Have not been able to get into that.
Yeah, my wife's off screen raising her hand because she's had dinner there.
And the one at Disneyland?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that secret door, right? Like
it's by the Pirates of the Caribbean.
It's a different California Adventure.
It's personal quarters at Disneyland, and he has like a full like restaurant and like living quarters. Yeah. So if he entertained anybody back in the day at Disneyland, they would get to go there, and it was above Pirates of the Caribbean. And now it's like you have to have membership. There's only a certain amount of memberships. Some of them are corporate memberships, but it's like passed family to family, and like it's like Packers tickets. Like they get passed family to family.
Gregory, do you live in LA?
No, I live in Philadelphia. But my
okay.
dad's from Ireland and my mom's from California, so
Gotcha.
Philly,
life
LA,
was
same thing.
yeah.
Right.
No, you just know, like, I didn't know if you had lived out there at all. It's,
No, I mean I
I
spent
didn't get a
almost
chance
not
to go
every
to
summer, but
about
a lot of summers out there. And my mom's from a family of 9, and one of my aunts and uncles, they've had a membership to Club 33 for years, so that's like their
that's
thing.
cool. Yeah, I've heard about it. I've never been. I know it exists. Like people talk. It's like a nondescript doorway somewhere.
Yeah. I've
I
been
guess
special about it
twice,
once.
which was super cool.
I saw a TV special about it once.
And they're not letting you in either.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't
also
been.
the only place in Disneyland. It's the only place you can get alcohol
Really?
because there's no alcohol in Disneyland. There's alcohol in California
What?
Land of Adventure
it's-
across the street, but there's none in Disneyland.
Yeah, that's
You're right, because
one thing that
Universal
drives me
Studios
nuts.
has it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was
like-
none in Disney World until the Be Our Guest restaurant.
Yep.
Isn't there at Disney World and Epcot, like you can go to the worlds and get
Oh yeah.
in
Oh, dude,
those,
Just
right?
The
You get
magic-
drunk around the world. That's the only thing I've done in Disney World.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ben Roy, were you born in New Hampshire?
I was born actually in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, but then I lived in Nashua,
Oh, rock on.
and then I moved to
Ooh.
Augusta. I grew up in Winthrop, Maine, so like, but
Cool.
I moved to Denver in 1999, and then LA. I've been back and forth for the last 5 years just for work. But Maine is still. I've got the lobsters fucking
Oh,
getting hammered, fucking mint guy. So I got.
there you go.
Yeah, but I still like my mom lives not far from Dexter. She lives in Fairfield.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad lives in Winthrop and my brother lives in Brunswick. So that's how I met old Riddler McBain and George was going home to visit, and then I wanted a place to train, and I'm always bored, so I'll drive from Maine down to Portsmouth or down to Boston to just get training in. 'Cause Maine,
Yeah, I remember when. Good.
No. Go
It
ahead.
probably took him. He came and I was teaching. It probably took him 2 weeks of real instruction to undo all the stuff.
No, those were great classes. Everybody was tough. You know, my buddy Monte was like, "You got to go to see those people down in Portsmouth." And Monte's the best dude. He's just such a nice guy. Everywhere I go, people are like, "You know Monte Wiley?" Yeah, I don't know how I even know him. I'm not quite
I think most of us know him. I know Greg. You know, I know Rich from Blackbelts Butterflies. I mean, Monte's just been. He's ubiquitous. He's around all the time, and he's a super friend of the podcast. He's been on a number of times. Yeah, I remember when you came in. Right there was proof that I wasn't sure if you and I actually rolled because there were a bunch of people there. I remember you being like this super nice guy, and nobody has any idea who you are. You're just some guy coming in, and everybody was relaxed. But the proof that we didn't roll was that you just said everybody was super tough because, yeah.
No, I remember like.
Nah, I'm very relaxed and gentle, and I usually just tap a lot, and it's all good.
Everybody was tough. I got really good roles. I was super, like that's because I traveled doing stand up. Like that's the tough part is like trying to find places to train. You remember Show You Roll made that Undefeated gi? The one but it's canvas. It's not made out of like pearl weave stuff. And so I bought one of those and I can like air shrink it. I can suck the air out of it. So it's like that thin. I bring that thing everywhere. And I train anywhere I can go. I mean, Canada, I've trained it everywhere. And I remember your school always stuck with me. It was just, everybody was super nice. It was just a very like chill vibe. Everybody got after it, but like was very welcoming. There was no egos. I love that shit. Because
Well,
being
yeah,
on the
it's
road
obvious.
gets boring.
Yeah, it's obvious you didn't meet the guy who runs the club, Jay, because then this conversation wouldn't be happening. But
Well, I'm glad because I have I hold you in high esteem right now.
so I know that I know a number of you will travel and train. I mean, do you how do you set that up? Do you call ahead, or would you just kind of walk in? Typically, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't have a recommendation, what do you do about that, Ben?
A lot of
Do you
people.
just kind of show up?
Yeah, I'll message them or I'll call and ask if I can drop in. I'll pay a drop in. And then the time I give tickets to the show. So I'll be like, hey, if anybody wants to come to the show tonight. And then by then, once people come to the show and they hang out afterwards, it's like your chums at that point, and I just roll all weekend. It just gives me something to do because otherwise I'm just going to sit in the... Can I swear? I don't know who's watching.
You fucking can fucking swear. God damn it. Yes, please do.
Okay. No, I'll just sit in the room and jerk off the whole time because I'm just bored the whole.
Hey, man.
It's just a hotel room. I work for
That's what
an hour and a
they're for,
half.
Ben.
But I work an hour and a half a night. I'm just going to sit in that room. So but there's so many weird clubs. I trained at a place in Phoenix called Black Flag Jiu-Jitsu, and they're just listen to punk rock and Dead Kennedys and Black Flag and cranked it, and they were rad. I was like, it's like rock jits people. It was great. So, I don't know. Do all of you do the same? Call up before I
message on Facebook typically.
Yep.
Look them up.
I'll look to see who's
the
in
vibe is.
school, what town, if I recognize the name, or if I don't know, I'll try to figure out. Some sites will deliberately not say who the instructor of the school is, or will be kind of very elusive about who the instructor or what lineage or anything they're under, which to me is usually a little suspect, but not necessarily a disqualifier. But usually the places, a lot of people will state who the instructor is, so you can see who it is and see if we have mutual friends on Facebook, or I'll usually have friends that know people in that area and have a recommendation. So
Why would they do that?
There's a couple different reasons. One of them might be they just want to take the eyes off the instructor and just trying to get you in the door to try jiu-jitsu. And so they'll have lots of information about jiu-jitsu, but not anything about the instructor, and put all the focus on the school and what they offer and all the different programs. And we'll have a pretty generic website with a landing page to feed you in to get information. Those ones usually have to look to find who the instructor is, if at all. But then you can go on their Facebook and they'll have the instructor commenting. So it's you can figure that out pretty quickly. But there are a lot of places that have generic landing pages and pretty developed websites, but no bio information, which to me isn't, like I said, not complete disqualifier, but it's a little bit of a red flag.
I wonder if in those cases, those cases, because it's a franchise, and obviously if you have a big name at the top of the franchise, you want to put that up front.
That's sometimes, but sometimes it's I don't know, just make up a name, and it's they're trying to keep the branding going and not. Yeah. They don't. I think they don't realize either they're insecure, maybe they're not some big name black belt, so they're just trying to push the name as much as possible and not have to get in. There are some people who have suspect lineages that don't want their lineage posted and don't want to. I think that's probably the exception. I think most people have their information up and it's pretty clear. But there are tons of people who won't say who they got their black belt from, or the person, or if the instructor's on there, it'll say so and so's been training jiu-jitsu for 20 years, blah blah blah, trained with everybody, and we'll list a bunch of people, and there'll be people I know, and I'll be and I've messaged those people or texted them, and they've been I've never heard of that person. I'm oh, okay. And there'll be pictures of them, so it means they probably just went to a seminar or, checked out something with them, and they may have actually trained with them or maybe even rolled with them, but they don't necessarily they're not part of an association or don't have a franchise or support, which is a little different too. So,
yeah, I'm always impressed at how still young the sport still is, because you can tell by the places that they're in. I trained at a place, I was at this club called the Bone in Syracuse, New York, and the cook was a white belt. He was like, you should come train at my school. And it's in an abandoned mall, legit a mall, like not one with the exterior corridors, but like a fucking main mall with interior corridors. No other stores inhabited one space within it, and man, it was like this is gonna fucking suck. It's not gonna be good. Like, there's nothing else here. The gym was kind of shoddy. I got the dog shit beat out of me that day. Like, these guys, I rolled with this. It was in Syracuse, and I rolled with this 50-year-old guy, and I couldn't get out from underneath him. I was like, he was a blue belt. I could not get out from underneath this guy. He didn't submit me, but I could not get up. Every time I did, he dragged me back down so easy. And I went over to my buddy, and I was like, fuck this. This guy's like 54 years old, and he's mopping the floor with me. And he's like, yeah, you know who that is? That's Mean Gene Mills. And I was like, the wrestler, the collegiate, like, Hall of Fame wrestler, like, he was going to be an Olympian, but they canceled the Olympics that year because of Russia. But Mean Gene Mills has like a 1,134 record or something. And he teaches the record program because he went to Syracuse. And he was like, yeah, this is the school. And you realize this is still new. Even the good schools are in like kind of suspect buildings sometimes. It'll be like an office park with like, we do caulking of swimming pools and jiu-jitsu club. You know, it's in a business park next to, it's crazy.
Well, that building, like that building that you visited us at is now completely empty except for us.
Oh, man.
35,000 square feet in just us.
Are you guys in every room? Have you taken over every room? You should.
It's super. It's awesome and weird at the same time. You know
what happened?
There was a health club. I mean, if you've been to our gym, we used to rent. We started off renting a racquetball court at a health club. We didn't start there, but we ended up moving there. And so we were in there for a couple years, and then we moved up to the group exercise room. We took that over, and it was awesome. And then the people who ran the gym were leasing off the guy who owns the building, and they'd been there for 15 years or something. And then they couldn't come to an agreement, so the gym left. And the guy has been trying to sell the building. And I talked to him. He lives in Florida. I was like, hey, can we just keep renting it off you? And so we've been renting this spot. And so we have the regular showers, a sauna. It's super crazy.
It's really nice.
Yeah. Zach, how did you get to be up where you are, man? You got a school up in Central Maine. How'd that happen?
So obviously I'm through Eduardo Benjamin in Brewer now, used to be Bangor.
Yeah, love Eddie.
Yeah, well, everybody does. He's great. And that's usually when I'm traveling places, I find out who he knows, and then it's just a golden ticket to go anywhere you want because he's such a good dude. There was a local MMA fighter from the Dexter area who messaged me one day and wanted me to do a seminar back when I was a brown belt. And so I was like, sure. And they told me where it was. It was the old Dexter Shoe factory.
Oh, cool.
Literally, there was a
That's awesome.
Yeah, bar downstairs. And where they were doing classes, it was some old wrestling mats they got from a high school upstairs. No power, no lights, no heat, no nothing. I mean, fortunately, it was August, so it was plenty. I got changed in a dirt floor room, went out, taught seminar for a couple hours, left. This was actually right before I got married. So I got back from my honeymoon, which was at Disney World. Surprise, surprise. Got back from my honeymoon, and I had a message from one of the guys at the seminar. He's like, I'd like to take you and your wife out to dinner. I was like, all right, sure. We'll do that. So took us out to this really nice restaurant, Blaze in downtown Bangor. Great steaks. Really
great
good
place.
Yeah.
Good beer
really
selection.
Good food. And if you've been there, then it's not exactly the cheapest restaurant in downtown Bangor. So I was like, this is kind of nice to just take me out to dinner. What are you buttering me up for? And he said, I want to buy a building and start a gym, and I want you to teach there. So,
Holy shit.
Yeah, the guy, he's one of those offshore oil drilling, like works in the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow.
Instead of drinking, this is what he does. He opened a gym.
Cool.
So I have literally all I do is show up and teach classes, and he takes care of everything else. It's amazing. I'm the luckiest dude in the world.
That is killer.
So that's why
how big is
Dexter
your
made.
school? How big is the school up there?
Like size-wise or people-wise?
Yeah, like square footage-wise, how big is it?
We've got, what is it? The Dahlinger strips, 4 wide. Hold on, actually, and I can show you.
Yeah, it's big, man. It looks big. Yeah.
Oh, what? Dude, that's beautiful.
Nice.
Oh, I love the garage doors.
That looks great, man.
Yeah. The building, it was a heavy machinery, and let's see.
That's why you got the big ceilings.
Right there.
Crazy big.
Yeah, right there. That's actually a second level. So you can actually look down in, and we've got some mats there.
That like small area with the red and the dark, that's like our gym.
Yeah, that's where. Now, granted, that like we had this building. We got it the end of 2015. We've had the building, but that's all we had matted at one point, and it's just been. He's like, oh, I want to have a bigger area because we've got some more students, and now it's
Wow, what a beautiful school.
What's that?
I said it's beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And we've Dexter's a good big wrestling area. A lot of wrestling going on there, and it took us 3.5 years to convince the wrestling coaches that we're in addition to, not in opposed to. That took a long time to convince people that we weren't trying to take wrestlers away. We wanted to add to. And now when it's not wrestling season, our mats are full pretty much all the time.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Are you all black belts? Am I the only, like, lowly, like, piece of shit lower belt?
Nope, I'm a straight down purple belt, no stripes, baby.
I'm a purple belt.
Hey, just
Plus,
because I'm a black belt doesn't mean I'm not a piece of shit.
I gotta admit, I felt a little bit seen before when you were talking about, before you mentioned it was Mean Gene, because us over 50 types, the plan is go like this, keep going like this, look at the clock, and make sure the guy who you're rolling with doesn't see you looking at the clock, because then they do some bullshit wrist lock or something like that. That's the plan. That's the 56 plan, man. That's how you do it.
You're not. How old are you, Riddler?
Oh,
56.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
I don't even.
just his
Yeah,
birthday.
my grandfather had his hair all the way until 98.
Damn, dude.
His wife of forever regretfully died when he was 92. They were in a nursing home, and by 96, no shit, the nursing home for his birthday gave him. They broke down the wall between himself and the girl next door, who was only 89, and they got married.
Hell yeah.
So yeah,
Nice.
he made it like
nursing home.
for 2 more years, and then boom. So that's old
Well,
immigrant blood.
your face
He's
was
rocking that
better
cradle.
I think my life turned my face into a catcher's mitt or something, dude. I'm not. I don't know. I think it was my drinking and doing drugs, and I mean, yeah. Somebody was saying they did substance abuse stuff. Like I could have used your services some years ago.
we all could have. That's why we all like Rich.
Let's call it what it is. Take a look around the gallery. Now, which one of us spent a lot of time getting the lighting just right? That would be the old guy trying to look young. Look, see, I got this light. Look at all these neat lights.
It is moody. It's moody for sure.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be soft lit, you know.
Well, I had to move because my dog kept whining because he wanted to like walk in front of the camera. I have a 9-month-old
How is
Doberman
that
puppy.
bad?
and he
That's
just wants
nothing wrong
to.
with that.
Yeah, but if you don't give him the attention when he gets to get loud, like you're abusing him, but you're not.
You don't
So-
see
Yeah,
Dobermans a lot anymore. Dobermans are great dogs.
They are. And the funny thing is, I didn't get his ears cropped when I got him. So I walk him in the park, and I can't tell you how often people will come up to him, start petting him. He's a beautiful dog, whatever. They'll talk for like 15 minutes about how beautiful he is. And then at some point in the conversation, they find out he's a Doberman, and they take like a big step back. Like, this is a Doberman? And I'll be like, yeah, well, the ears, like, it tricked me because you don't have the ears. And I'm like, well, he's got ears. Like, well, you know, they're like,
Yeah.
but he's so nice. I'm like, yeah, you just pet him for the last 15 minutes. Why are you suddenly like acting like that's going to change anything?
Yeah, yeah. Like you were like, no, that's not a Doberman. It's a loaded gun. And they're
Yeah. He'll probably make the worst guard dog because the only time he barks aggressively or sounds mean is if people walk by him without petting him. So
That's how Ben Moore is too. If you walk by Ben Moore without petting him, he gets very aggressive.
Yo, man, George is speaking the truth. I don't know.
How you doing, Ben Moore, dude? You're in the kind of the restaurant industry, jiu-jitsu, kind of the two things that are hard hit, man. How are you holding up?
Good, man. Well, I'm a photographer, videographer, and I build websites as well as train jiu-jitsu. So obviously the photo video is out and just kind of positioned to.
It's really out.
and he's dead.
Nope. So
Really out of
Camera?
practice there, Ben.
camera, and then I have a screen going for all of you guys.
gotcha.
Here, I'll switch.
It's fine, man. Just keep going.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Oh,
You don't
anyway.
need. Oh, look at that.
So, like,
If you get close enough, it'll be like the Jackson 5.
yeah.
Nobody gets that joke. Okay, that's all good. They can't all win.
Yeah, just been building websites more in the last couple months. I helped start like an alcohol delivery company just before all this got shut down. So that's been booming for obvious reasons because Maine has never been able to deliver alcohol before. So that's been an awesome thing to kind of help and also have a revenue from.
Are you all in? Who's in New England? Where is everybody? I'm still trying to figure this out.
Rich and I, Rich is in Connecticut. Me and Riddler are in New Hampshire.
Okay.
Zach and Ben are in Maine. And then
Oh, yeah.
Greg is in Philly.
Oh, cool. Okay. Now I got my bearings of where everybody is. Where
So-
in Maine are you, Ben?
Portland, Maine.
Okay. And then are you right in Philly, Greg?
I'm just north of the city. I'm like 35, 40 minutes to downtown.
Oh, cool.
Right
I
now,
love that
I'll probably
city.
do it in 20 minutes because there's no traffic.
Man, that's one of the best cities ever. I every time I go, it's so different. From me, I always think of driving. Either I go east to west or I go north to south. But to go to Philly, you don't really drive through it unless you're going to Philly.
Yeah.
Out there my band played there. We played at a place called Everybody Hits, which is a set of batting cages in a part of town. And
Awesome.
it was amazing. We went climbing the nets and stuff like that. It was
crazy.
It was the best. And I never wanted to leave. I was like, I want to stay in Philly. It's awesome. It's still gritty. It feels gritty.
Yeah, it still has that like close neighborhood feel. Everything's close together. Like you can go one neighborhood to the next really quickly, and then it's pretty. Gritty's a good word for sure.
They're renovating a lot of it.
Yeah, it's still the cheapest. As of now, it's still on the East Coast, the cheapest place to develop because New York, Boston, DC are like way outpriced. So you've got developers coming in and buying up whole sections of the city. The Fishtown, where the headquarters for my jiu-jitsu school I train at is. You guys ever heard of the coffee shop La Colombe?
No.
Like a national brand, but they're like the leaders of what's called the third wave of coffee. Like second wave is like Starbucks. Third wave is like small roasters and like more specialty coffee. And they're like the top of the whole third wave of coffee. But anyway, their headquarters are right across the street from our gym, and that neighborhood is the #1 zip code in America. And it's like, it used to be, so like 10 years ago, it was a totally different neighborhood. And to the point where I was working for a company and had a company car with a guy who trained. And on the way back from being down in DC, I stopped to train. And he knew I trained at Balance because he knew about the city. He just never went into the city for it. And he called me thinking I was in a bad neighborhood because as far as he knew, that's where you went to go buy blow and heroin and all kinds of drugs. And he's like, yo, what are you doing in Kensington? And I'm like, I'm not in Kensington. I mean, it's kind of Kensington, but not really.
That's where the show was.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Kensington proper is right next to Fishtown. So
Gotcha.
Kensington is like what Fishtown was 5 years ago. But Fishtown is like really up and coming, or I mean, it's already arrived. Like the people who had houses there that they bought for like 50 to 100,000 are selling them for like $450,000, $500,000.
Wow.
So a lot of people cashed in and got out, but there's like all the good the best restaurants I'd say in Philly are all in this right little neighborhood.
Is Balance like in Philly? Is that like the place to train? Because like everybody I knew that like came out of Philly that was really good trained. It seems like I just met a lot of people that trained at Balance.
Phil and Rick are the remnants. When Balance started, they're the remnants of like the core group of what was at Maxercise when Steve and DC split up and sold Maxercise. A lot of not everyone, because Maxercise still exists, but the core group of like black belts and stuff who'd been there forever moved over to Balance when Phil and Rick started, and so it's just continued from there. They're like the Philly born and bred guys. They used to Phil used to teach the kids classes at the Gracie Academy when here on Henner were kids. Back in the old days, all the instructors from all the like apprentice or like up and coming instructors from all of Elio's kids throughout the country, even if they hated each other and didn't get along well, all went to go at one point to Horian for instructor training. So they all know each other from like back in the day, and that's how a lot of people who know who Phil and Rick are.
They're like Helson guys, right?
Yeah,
like
they're basically Helson's adopted Italian sons. Like Helson considers them his sons. So, and Helson is a wild man. That's all I will say.
Great.
So,
Greg, could you put some last names on that? I know you need Steve Maxwell, but who else is Phil?
Phil and Rick Miglarice.
Miglarice brothers.
Yeah, Miglarice.
Gotcha.
They are. Phil is like the first non-Brazilian, I believe, to get his 6th degree black belt, and Rick is 5th degree, but they just got that like a year or so ago.
Yeah, they're like legends
since then.
Like those two are.
And speaking of wrist locks, Riddler, Rick will wrist lock you before you like anybody, children, old ladies.
I'm an old judo dude, and it's like there's like an unspoken rule when you're playing with the judo. Once you have grips, nobody goes. You know what I mean? Nobody pulls it into the chest. Like you just like you're not gonna do no straight arm. Just leave the wrists alone, because you know.
Well, they tell stories of
jiu-jitsu guys. The second I put it out, it's like.
They tell stories about this old guy from the Maxercise days. I think they called him like Judo Bill. The first name I could be getting completely wrong, so I apologize. But he's a shorter, older guy who was like really into judo. And Rick said like his judo was fantastic, even like in the 60s and 70s when he trained with them. But he'd wrist lock you because it was like old school freestyle self-defense judo, like combat judo.
Yeah.
And he said like you'd grip up, and he's the one that really like you touched him, you got wrist locked.
There's actually 5 judo katas, I'm sure some of the people here know, and one of them is based around the idea. It's almost like looks like Aikido and shit. So yeah, but most people don't study it. Most we just did the sports side of it. But yeah.
Alexi tells me
nothing more
like,
demeaning.
Yeah, wrist locks are. It's funny, like a lot of people make for wrist locks, but like Alexi, you know, I've been doing it. My instructor for a long time, and he says like back in like the 80s, like everybody did wrist. It was like everybody did wrist locks. It wasn't a belt level. It was just like it's. He laughs at now like how it's such a touchy subject, but he goes, everybody does wrist locks, man.
Well, it's funny because if you're watching, I have a couple of favorites. One of my favorite dudes to watch. Everybody has a favorite to watch compete is Claudio Calasan, right? And it's like that dude makes so many hearts break with after all that bullshit. He's like. And you're like, you can see the poor guy has just been through all of the bolos and the things, and then it's bonk. So
if you want to get somebody to move, a wrist lock is a great. Even if you don't get the wrist lock, like those people are moving, and elbows are coming out.
I've seen more huge, like extremely large males scream like little girls from wrist locks than any other technique in the world. So
100%.
Dexter, we get a lot of big dudes, and I teach wrist locks, and so you hear a lot of squealing.
Mm-hmm. I'll never forget. I sat down with the cause I got my blue belt from a Helson Gracie affiliate here, and that's how I knew about balance.
Okay.
As well, because Steve Hordinsky. Was knew all guys, and I did that. I sat down, slapped hands. I was a white belt. He didn't even close his legs. He wrist locked me. I stepped in, reached to grab. He just wrist locked me, and I was like, "You want me to put my belt on your desk now, or you want to just wait till class is over? I'll just give you it now." It's just so demeaning to set up and then just have somebody go I'm done. I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. So I hate it, but it's effective. Like you said, if it gets somebody squirming and getting wily, but holy shit, it's heartbreaking.
There's a little bit of a, but there's also there's another angle to it, which is that, sometimes when upper belts are rolling with white belts and shit, they'll do something like that just to cause trouble or to be, have fun or whatever. But it's typically, you're not going to get introduced to that until you blow through the blue belt. You go into higher blue belt, purple belt, where all of a sudden you're already dealing with the idea that this was really hard to get here. And now someone hands you, one of these middle belts, and you're like, I thought I was halfway up the mountain, but I'm everybody knows what I'm saying. And the thing is, on top of that, then now you're getting wrist locked and heel hooked, so it's even worse than our club is a little different. I shouldn't say different. Our club chooses to do a lot of that stuff right off the top, so it's not totally alien. But again, as you move up, it just becomes more and more prevalent. You're walking into these much higher level games, and you're going
like the Wild West, Riddler.
At balance, everyone will wrist lock you. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Or if they won't wrist lock you, they're very wrist lock aware. So it's not.
But the weird thing is, George wrist locks people during drilling, which is just a dick
perfect.
Listen,
drilling,
that's why you and Kroller get
the
along,
neon
George.
belly. He just fucking slaps it on. Kids
hey man,
laugh.
George was down in Mexico. We were all down in Mexico with Kroller, and I think on the first day that you started to train, George was like, "I think I found my soulmate."
Kroller Gracie might be my spirit animal.
That's what I'm saying.
He might be.
You don't look very similar, but
nah, we're like identical twins. It's like the movie Twins.
You're like the little monkey. He's the gigantic gorilla.
There's a picture somewhere. Well, it's on my Facebook or Instagram of Kroller on my back, and he's having the time of his life. And I'm having the worst time. My face is it's horrible. And he's just posing for the camera and having a great time. But speaking of dirty heel hookers, let me tell you about my friend Rich McKeegan. There is nobody dirtier than the Scarecrow.
I am reformed. I reformed.
Now,
I don't heel hook in the gi anymore.
You should.
Give it up.
I got on a call the other day with all the Brad Wolfson and all these guys from Connecticut and Nelson, and I told them all, I was like, "Hey, listen, I just want to be serious for a second and tell you guys when we finally train again, I'm heel hooking you all in the gi, So get ready." You guys don't know this, but let me tell you, and Rich wouldn't tell you, but let me tell you about this thing behind me. Black belts for butterflies, a thing that I can tell you without even exaggerating that it's changed my life. Rich does a charity, and it's called Black Belts for Butterflies, right? And I'm going to ask him about it, but I'll tell you, so he puts on. I think he was the first person to really do the big super seminar type thing. it's for it started as a thing from Newtown, but I've gone to a few, right? And the jiu-jitsu is obviously amazing, and it's great. But the thing that's like unbelievable, I've cried at every one I've gone to, every single one, dude. Rich McKeegan makes me cry. It's the most powerful, like, it's one of the most powerful things, and that's when I really realized that jiu-jitsu can like change lives and do all these great things. Rich, will you, because I've never seen any of these guys at Black Belts for Butterflies, will you just tell them how it started? I'm gonna make Rich cry.
So my son, it's me and my wife. It took us a while to get pregnant, so we finally got pregnant, and we had my son. And he was born on the same day as the Sandy Hook Newtown shooting here in Connecticut. So, feeling as lucky as I did because I got to have a child, I started doing patches and selling the patches to raise money for victims of Sandy Hook. And then it turned into meeting one of the fathers that lost his son at the shooting. Dylan Hockley was his name. And Dylan was autistic. If you look up anything on Sandy Hook, a lot of times his face is going to pop up because he was, very well known because of his story. They found him in the arms of his student teacher that was taking care of him. And it's just super powerful to sit there and hear that story. So I wanted to do something more. So it went from selling patches to jiu-jitsu guys to doing a super seminar. So I had 10 black belts teach over a 3-day weekend, and it's just kind of grown more and more. We've narrowed it down to 8 black belts over 2 days. But everyone gets an hour slot, and then 100% of the proceeds that we raise, we give all the money to local nonprofits that support autism in the community. So it's been really, really cool.
That's super cool.
7 years now, and we've had, I like to mix it up, and we have local black belts. We get some really famous people coming in. Marcelo's taught. Wow. Sanders taught. We had an event at Coyotero's Academy 3 years ago. It's pretty awesome. And it's like, but the whole thing is like the camaraderie and all the people coming together, and it's just a very, I don't know, it's grown organically over the last few years to something really, George hit it, it's just beautiful to have everyone come in, no banners, no patches, no one gives a shit where you train. You just come in together to learn jiu-jitsu, and you leave with a really good outlook on things. You have a lot of appreciation for what we do and the community of people that we have, and how special jiu-jitsu alone is, which is pretty awesome. So I'm just proud to be a part of it. I hate being that focal point. It's driven me kind of nuts since the beginning because I've always liked to take a back seat, but I've been pushed forward. And we're working on becoming a nonprofit of our own. So I'm excited about that. The next event was supposed to be in Philly in July, but with this whole thing, it's like, who knows? And that's how I know about like Fishtown. I was there over the summer. I was just like, dude,
where were you guys going to have it?
We were going to have it at Christian Woodmansey's school.
Logic. Okay.
Yep. And
I like Christian. He's a really good guy. He started at Bounds.
Yes, I heard that. I've trained with him
awesome
a bunch of times, and super good guy. Love his jiu-jitsu. He's got great outlook, great personality. And I was there for the Andre Galval seminar. And that was the first time Andre had come out to see Christian's new school, and it's beautiful. Holy shit. Mm-hmm. It's one of the most beautiful schools I've ever been in.
We interviewed him on our podcast like a year before he did that, and he talked a lot about like what he was trying to do and like what his focus and goal was. And he's very goals oriented and very much like focused on like setting a plan and going for it. So kudos to him. It's cool to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, and that's really rad you do that, man. What a cool event and like cause to do that for.
I've met the best people through that event. I've even met some like weird ones like George.
And then I brought Jay Mansfield and ruined the whole thing.
Walking off the mats with bare feet.
I've never been good at following the rules, even at Rob McDowell's. I will tell you, like the jiu-jitsu, like, I mean, Rich, I'm going to tell everybody, how great you are, Rich. His
I'm
family,
a mediocre, like, blue belt.
His family is so awesome. And like, when you go to this thing, it's really like Black Belts for Butterflies family, I feel like. And Rich's wife is there. Rich's kid is hanging around playing with my kid, and they're running around having a good time. And the jiu-jitsu techniques, it's awesome. And Robert DeFranco is there. Other than him, it's great.
He's just saying that because he always makes you cry. That's why.
DeFranco, he brought his kids to the last one, and man, I had a good time with those guys. But like, and then they'll have people speak in between, right? And my wife spoke at one, and so different people will speak and tell stories about their children with autism or different things, and that's when it's like, whew. Last time Pacinelli, man, I didn't expect he was talking, and I didn't expect to be crying. That guy's got me in tears, and I'm like, God.
It puts that personal touch to it, because you have to be living under a rock. I say this all the time, not to know what autism is. So it's like, aware, sure, but are you accepting? But then when people come to the event and they hear a parent talk about their struggles, what they go through, the challenges that they face and the hurdles, it really puts you connect with them, especially if you're a parent. My two children are typical kids. But to hear the struggles that other parents go through, it's like you feel for them. It's like you have that bond as a parent. So it's a good event, man. I'm really looking forward to jumping back on and getting everything up and running again.
Have you guys thought about doing some sort of Zoom conference version of that in the meantime? I think like what's it called? Like this would work with instructors. Have you guys been doing Zoom classes?
I just started. I was not that interested in doing it, and I was like, I don't know. But I just started, and so it did take the edge off for me, and I think it also helped other people, hopefully, and we're going to do more. But
I have a bunch of clients that are jiu-jitsu school owners, and I think all but one has done the Zoom thing. There's also an element to it that the Consumer Credit Act or some variation or element to that with the whole shutdown, that if gyms aren't offering some sort of remote offering of what they're doing, they have to freeze the membership after 30 days. That's the fine print is different per state, but there's a variation of it for each state where if you're not offering online Zoom or something else, some sort of remote version of what you offer at the school, you're supposed to freeze the membership after 30 days.
Right, because that would be a way of protecting against fraud, of course. I'm not suggesting anybody's defrauding anyone, but yeah. Yeah, before you go on, keep in mind that what you were talking about, Rich, like what we're talking about in Zoom here, so we're like on a Zoom Pro account here, but you can go all the way out to webinar size. You can Zoom with 1,500 people. I mean, it is 100% doable. And if that's something that you would like to get involved in, I can help you get started on that. I'd be happy to do that.
I would definitely be interested in doing that if we could do it with partners.
Yeah, we should just do a brainstorm on this one. Gather some ideas and see what it is you really want to do.
Yeah. Teaching, it's like I teach the little kids class because I got my son who's 7, so that's easy because it's like I have a partner I can teach. But then I teach another class during the week. Usually I teach 9 to 10 classes a week at the academy, and right now I'm teaching just the one. That class is harder to teach than anything I've done because you've got your belt, the jacket, you can make the dummies out of the gi and the pillows and stuff, but it's very hard to the amount of stuff you can do, and people have partners, the amount of space. So, but to do
it's interesting. The school I have in China just got back to school April 21st. Like they're allowed to have classes. But the main instructors of black belt and a purple belt aren't allowed back in the country because they came back to America when everything was going down. And they have 2 higher belt purple belts who have been running the classes, but 1 class a week, the beginning of for the kids class. They do Saturday mornings and I think 1 other for the adult class, where they literally have to Zoom. The instructors have to do a Zoom class for the whole school back in China. So they have it up on the big screen, and all the kids have partners. Like it's a normal class for them, and there's teachers running it that are in the class that are Chinese, but the main instructors are like out on their lawns in Southern California on a mat in the backyard teaching class. And luckily he's got both his adult son for the adult class, who's a really good purple belt, and he's got his daughter to do for the kids class. But it could be a huge problem if, like, I know I've watched several Zoom classes of friends of mine who have schools, and I've taken part, but I haven't had a partner to do it. So I'm really just doing mental reps watching, which is the first couple were fun, but then it was like almost torture that, like, I want to go do this on somebody.
Yeah. I've been teaching. I train here in Denver at Easton Training Center, and they have like 8 schools here in Colorado. So I teach fundamentals for Easton, one of their locations, twice a week. It's bizarre, and it's truthfully like you said, it's like if you're hungry or if you're like a chocoholic, having somebody eat a whole candy bar in front of you and then just breathe in your face. Mm-hmm. Because that's about as much enjoyment as I get. Like, I like it and it's fun to talk, but it just makes me want it even more. And I hope they allow us to go to one-on-one soon. I don't know if private trainings are coming back soon or what. Because even then, that'd be great if we could.
Zach, are you guys doing anything? Are you guys doing any online stuff?
I don't have any like official everybody shows up Zoom classes. I'm doing a lot of private, I guess you'd say, FaceTime calls with some of my students and some of my youth students. Unfortunately, I'm in an area where there's a lot of people who don't have the technology that we have. I mean, Dexter's about 20 years behind Bangor, and Bangor's about 20 years behind the world. So. But a lot of one-on-one, just, oh, you've got a little brother, I got a couple of people that are, brother, sister that are in classes. So and I'm able to talk them through beating on each other. So that's fun.
I have a brother that I'm with quarantine with, but we can't train together normally because we turn it into combat jiu-jitsu. Like full blown. Like we did a lot of striking, grappling with strikes before we ever did jiu-jitsu with another style. And we were always very combative then. And it's kind of funny, even at balance, we'll come to class together and we'll get the last round in, or if it's like one of ours birthdays or like special events where we haven't trained in a while, that's when we train. So in the house together. Actually, the whole reason why I ended up in school is because we tried to do the Gracie Combatives DVDs when they were out, and we would straight up fist fight or get in an argument over like nuances of the technique. So then we found a school and we were fine. But
Ben Moore, is Alexi doing anything right now?
We did a big Zoom call with like most of the gym who had devices to do so, but we haven't done anything like a class. Has anybody been doing any like pre-recorded techniques, like your own sort of like instructional stuff for your students, maybe pre-recorded, so you don't have to worry about? That's what Phil
and Rick have been doing. They've just been releasing on a private group material like every couple of days or every day, going back and forth. And now he's got like all the balanced instructors recording stuff to add to it. So it's like tons of techniques being shared. It's just not the same as like class or interactive.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Do you even know George, Ben? Like, that means you would have to schedule it and organize it and label the files and shit, Like, George is like, I think we should have a podcast tonight. I'm like, who's going to be on it? All these people. Okay. No,
I'm not a good scheduler, man.
All joking aside, George has been threatening to make a special pamphlet of long sets of jiu-jitsu movements that all have strangely uncomfortable names, like the Dry Tortuga and stuff. Name. Yeah. all joking aside, between the Dry Tortuga and the what's the one with the rodeo in it, the Mobility Matrix, like those two things. No, but no shit. Like if I can get it. If I can get out ahead enough in a roll, I can run through 3/4 of the Mobility Matrix before I fall off and we start it, just try not to, get, swept,
it's legit. It's legit, dude. The name but the names are important. Like,
yeah, it's got to be a pamphlet. It's got to be like,
litter boxing, man.
Nobody
Litter
even knows
boxing.
what
litter boxing.
boxes are. But yeah,
Man knows
that's exactly
litter
right.
boxing.
The one time,
It's litter box
the one time.
sin with an N apostrophe at the end, man. Like
yeah.
that's like Run DMC level era slang litter boxing.
Sometimes I get nervous when people. I mean, I love visitors, right? But I do get nervous because, like, I do have different terminology, and sometimes, like in choke theory, we get into Pangea and geology, and how the continents fit together. Yeah, it's deep, bro. It's deep.
Yeah. So everybody knows litter boxing is just how you get your legs out of the way when you're going in for the Torienda or whatever. You're like, oh, get that leg up. It's like you're a cat in a litter box. See?
That's a good.
Or anybody fills in it with some bullshit other.
I thought you all knew what he was talking about, and I was like,
Yeah. No.
I'm just gonna smile and nod.
No. That actually, I think that came from Jay. 'Cause he's like. He's got to, you get your hands on the pants, right? You got to get that leg out of the way, just like a cat,
So these guys in Connecticut are doing something really cool, though. Greg Wood and Brad, and I think they started a group.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've enjoyed those classes.
Dude, those are so good. Like they get guys from all over teaching great. Croyler's taught some. There's been it's awesome.
And I've deliberately asked painful questions of Croyler because my friend's his dummy, so that's been fun.
What's that, Rich?
How'd your class go last night?
It was good, man. Mine?
I know you were a little nervous.
I taught my first Zoom, Jiu-Jitsu class, and I was like, and I've taught for years, right? But I was super nervous. I was like, how's it gonna, I was sending messages to Rich, like, Rich, have you ever done this? It's there's technology involved, right? And Riddler will tell you, my 8-year-old daughter is better technologically than I am with a lot of things. But it was cool, man. Like we did, mostly movements and stuff, and I tried to, just do movements that are good for jiu-jitsu, and then I did like techniques, but definitely the camera angle. And my wife is way better at teaching through Zoom than I am, and so I had her critique me after because she's done it a lot. She teaches women's classes like 3 times a week on Zoom. But the camera angle thing was the part that I struggled with for sure, because if you stand up, it changes, or if you're like, so that takes effort,
George, are you someone who's used to like the energy of the class to kind of feed where you're going to go?
Dude, I need that. Because
that drives
bad.
me nuts with doing Zoom classes. Is like you have in your head, you have to imagine what their response is sometimes, because depending on because a lot of some of the schools, they put everybody on mute so they can go through the stuff. You have to raise your hand to be able to ask a question. So you don't have you make a joke in your presentation and you don't hear a laugh. You're like, ha ha. Okay.
It's cool you brought that up, if you don't mind. Yeah, I mean, because so I'm a musician, and you look around my friends who, many of them just all of a sudden don't have any money, right? I mean, it's just immediately stopped, right? So you see in this, this sort of a wave of people all playing solo by themselves. And the problem is that it's difficult to distinguish what's going on because, like anybody, anybody could pick up a guitar and play, and that's enjoyable, and I love that. It's a little difficult for like one of my friend Marty or whatever to go and pick up his guitar and go, it would be great if you could give me $5 for this. It's an awkward thing, but I've noticed that the more close your eyes, pensive, inward kind of musicians don't really have much of an issue. I'm not that kind of musician, I'm lucky to teach. I still have a job now teaching at a college, and our Zoom, I will ask the students to take the mutes off because if I say I can't tell how anything is going. There's no like momentum. I'm interested in, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot a little bit, Ben. I mean, that's one of the things that keeps you from doing comedy, because I've noticed people don't usually do comedy in this kind of format. Is that true? I mean, is it a connection thing?
Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of Zoom shows that people are doing, but they're fucking terrible, and it's just awkward. I mean,
watched
like
the one
trying to
girl
do
from Saturday Night
stand-up.
Live who was hilarious because she was like, she would say or do an impression, and the one who and I forget what her name is, but she
Melissa
would like say,
Villasenor.
yes, she did, and she's like, "This is terrible, guys," and she would just keep going through it.
I mean,
Well, I
that's
feel like
all
you
I would do. I
Yeah.
would sit there and I'd be like, this sucks. I got asked
Right.
to do a show recently in Aspen where everybody would be in their cars, and instead of applauding, they'd honk their horns. And they're like, doesn't that sound like a kid? And I was like, I will not be doing any such thing. I don't care how much money you offer me. That sounds like a bunch of people honking at me. Like that's not a
You're gonna need
sound. No one
therapy
ever really
after
honks at
for
you like,
PTSD.
hey, nice job. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no thanks. I don't do, and even music, you know, I mean, I tour with a band. I mean, that's the other part of what I do, and playing music on Zoom is really hard. I mean, this is feeding off people that's why Jiu-Jitsu is so important. It's the community of it. To me, that's why this martial art has really, like, it to me is because there's a big community aspect to this. Like, I don't care where I go, you walk in and they're like, you're one of us, you know, like you train. As long as you put in your work, everybody in this, for the most part, most people.
Or they beat you up and you
and
never come back. But
yeah. But for the most part, that's been the anomaly.
That's their own way of being
yeah,
nice,
I agree.
It's for the most part. And so when you take away that, I mean, people I met through jiu-jitsu, I'll know for far less time, but I feel closer to them in some odd way. And,
Absolutely.
but I feel like we lose some of that. Zoom doesn't, you know, these chat classes don't have that like tangible connection of like being able to grip the person and being able, you know, something gets lost in
it has come up over and over again on the podcast, come up on these BJJ All-Stars too, which is just the act of hanging out with your friends on Zoom is better than not. I mean, it's certainly not the same thing. I think I'm getting like like a reflex echo of what it's like to hang out with, you know, Jay and George and all the guys that I train with. I think you just have that. Like you said, you seem to know somebody. It's the same thing you play music with somebody. By the way, Ben's band Spells, right?
Yes.
Spells Rules. Is that what we're looking for on the on social media there? You guys are touring nationwide. You just did a video, if I get it correctly, with where some people sent in themselves dancing to your video, right? So you had a little bit of a meta thing going on.
Told people to make quarantine videos, like if you're home with your kid or whatever, just make a video to our song. But yeah, because no one has anything to do. Like,
Yeah.
But when you're out, when you guys are out with your band, I mean, it's the same as most musicians. It's like, well, you in particular, because you're gonna fucking stage jive. But I'm the keyboard player, so we don't. Yeah. We keep it classy over here.
Take the keyboard, throw it over your shoulder.
No.
Riddler plays a guitar.
We hang back and silently judge all of you people who are doing that ape-like stuff.
Why
no, you're leaving. You're literally leaving your DNA on people, like as you sweat on them, you know. Dude, and it's like it's not the same.
We just got off tour. There was a big band called the Riverboat Gamblers that like was around for a number of years, and they have and then that band Rise Against. They have a side project now, and so we went on tour with them. And I was in Seattle and Portland, and then we went to Boise and Salt Lake and came back to Denver. I got sick right as coronavirus was still breaking. I got a dry cough. I got a fever. I was like, fuck, I have this, because we were in Seattle. I had played a show that night before I started to get sick that I put my hands in people's mouths. Like, I don't, I mean... Literally, there's a photo of me reaching down, and I have my finger in a person's mouth like that. Like, it was so rowdy, and I'm like, I infected so many people. I'm patient zero if any of this happens. And it took them like 5 days to get my test. I'm like, I have to know if I've infected a large swath. There were 300 people at the show. The place was packed.
Wow.
You saw the video, I think. You saw the video of me like bailing off. And I was like in someone's mouth. You should tell me if I have coronavirus, but it took forever.
Well, let's not leave the... I was going to say, let's not leave them hanging here. You did not actually have the coronavirus.
No, I mean,
so it was just gross hands in people's mouths, not actually.
It was just corona. Your typical grade A Mile High City clap. That's all I had, and we all know what that.
Just sepsis, no corona, just sepsis.
That's so. This is like brings up an important thing, I think, because Greg was hit the thing. Like, I need interaction with people. I am, as Riddler likes to tell me, I am the guy that needs a hug that only a stranger can give me.
That wasn't me. That's from a really sleeper little film, which is Billy Crystal's sort of autobiography film. It's Billy Crystal's character. His wife says, "Hey, he's out. He just needs that little hug that only a stranger can give you."
I do. But so for me, and I joke about it, but like, we do a podcast, but this is like, jiu-jitsu is like group therapy for me in a lot of ways. This right here is like, the same thing. It's like just being with my people, But there's a lot of people out there that are struggling, man, big time, right?
Yeah.
There are. And so I always like, and so people, like, I'm doing pretty well. A lot of people I know are doing pretty well. So if you're watching this and you are struggling, like with whatever, like if you don't have money or food, or like you're just super bummed out and you're thinking about like killing yourself or anything, like send me a message. Seriously, like send me a message. I will not tell anybody. I've been down and out many times in many ways. I just seriously, like, hit me up and I'll talk to you, or I will, and we don't ever have to tell anybody. You know what I mean?
That's, I think, a big reason why I relate to a lot of people in this is that I would say more often than not, far more often than not, most people I talk to are here for the same reason, which is that it does something for their mental well-being. Mm-hmm. Obviously physical health and the sport of it and the self-defense aspect, but I do it as much. I relate to that. I struggle with panic attacks. I have an anxiety disorder, and I had panic attacks since I was 15 years old. This is the thing that controls it. So like being stuck at home, I never realized how much I got out of it. After you're done a class and you're sweaty, just leaning against the wall next to somebody you just trained with and BSing, like how much that does for your mental health and well-being.
It's funny, George on, I think he's on this side of me on Facebook.
I'm married.
George, George is my connection to Port City. I mean, it's like, well, I have like these. Many of you guys know what I'm talking about. You have like this set of jiu-jitsu friends who basically spend their entire time trying to make the worst possible comments to each other over and over and over again. And then I have all these music friends, and George was like, one day he goes, "Hey, I want a roadie for you, man. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna come out." And so I'm like, "Sure, let's do this." You come out, and so
let me interrupt for 1 second. So I've been. This is true, right? I'm like, dude, I want to like go and I want the whole experience, And I've been behind the scenes at the UFC where my friends are about to go to the cage in the biggest stage there is, on really all levels, right? And so I'm used to a lot of like pretty, interesting scenarios. So enter George into the world of artists,
Well, the funny thing is, so I play with some pretty rough and tumble guys. I play with some, sort of normal. I play with classical musicians. I'm just lucky to. I'll just say yes to anything. I don't get paid for most of these things. I'll just say yes. But this particular show that he came out is this band called Thanks to Gravity, which around here has been here forever. And they're just the nicest people. They play sort of like a Peter Gabriel level kind of intimate show. Like Elbow. It's not, it's loud. The drummer and the bass player go for it, but it's very earnest. It's very honest. It's not ironic. They're not trying to be too cool for school. And they haven't played very often. And they sold out this place around here, 450 people. George comes in and I'm like, hey man, like do this, grab this. You know, he's totally getting serious about the roadie thing. Comes into the back room and then lays like the jiu-jitsu attitude on like every one of the guys, which was so funny because like my friend is just like, like just didn't know how to.
Are you stuttering, you fucking moron, huh?
And you're not no, they're just all like, oh yeah. And George hit, and it's so funny because he was super like, you could see him take the wheel and go.
That's true.
I get it, and it was great.
Well, dude, these guys are really, really good. Like those guys are really good musicians. And like I'm like, yeah, you know. And they're like, no, do you really think we sound good? I was like, yeah, of course you do. Like you sound amazing. And they're like, no, really? Like really? I'm like, yes. Like I'm like trying to. I'm like, yes. You're gonna be great, dude. You're gonna be great.
You're a little animated, and it may have come off as if you were like
a groupie?
Not actually saying no, like, and not actually being honest. You know, like it's like you guys really, you know, it was.
I'm married to an actress, so
yes.
I know exactly what you go through, George, because that's what her and all of her friends, when I'm around them, I'm, hey, what's going on, blah, 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 you know, giving people the business, and it goes right to heart for everyone.
I was that way when I started at Port City. I mean, I'm used to being around judo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I had been working by myself. I had just gotten divorced. I was super sad, and I was just being serious all the time. And these guys would come in hard, and I'd be like, yeah, and I'd like get in the car, go like, I wonder if I really should change. Like, it was awesome. It took a long time to come around on the. I had to really separate out the two things: nice people, and then my brothers who I would trust my life with. You know, not so very nice, but
let me change course a little bit since we're talked about actors, and let me tell you guys what I've been up to since I've talked to you all last. I watched Rocky 1 again. I've watched what else have I watched? Oh man, we never talk about Ninja Assassin, but that's a great martial arts movie, by the way. But so
could you take a step back and give them the meta? This comes up at a lot of our podcasts now.
Yeah, so right? We always talk about what's the greatest martial arts movie of all time, right? And it's always like
Red Belt.
That one never gets brought up as the greatest.
Jiu-Jitsu versus the world.
Well, that's more. We're talking more like
doesn't count. Documentary. Also, that is a great looking cat you got there.
Thanks.
So you know that, yeah, we can see the cat. I'm not sure which one you're looking at, but yeah, there you go. Right, and so we were saying, right, so it comes up, what's the greatest? In fact, you even asked publicly and really got no consensus at all.
None, but there a lot of
Rocky
people,
1 is the best one.
So, dude, let me talk about Rocky 1, though, because I do love it, and it's great. But that movie is depressing, man.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap.
That grittiness feel of Philly still exists.
Dude, brutal. Super depressing. It was like, I mean, it's great.
What's crazy about those movies is how different they changed from even 1 till 2.
Yeah.
Like, 1 was kind of by nowadays would be called an indie flick. Yeah, it was dark.
It was. I mean, he like made it for like what, 40,000, some ridiculous number, and like bet it all. The producers bet it all on that. They didn't want to. He shopped it around to like a couple of different studios, and they all were going to buy it, but didn't want to have Stallone play in it, and he was insistent on it. Found 2 producers who were, game for it, but it was pretty.
Didn't he also risky, do a skin flick to raise a little money for that?
Say it again. What was that, Zach?
I was gonna say, didn't he also do a kind of a Skinamax skin flick to raise some money to do?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I know that like the acceptance speech for the was it Best Picture when they won was pretty cool. It's a classic, for all the Rockies out there, speech.
Yeah,
but what do you kind of like? It's a big payoff.
What do you consider a martial arts movie? I mean, is Raging Bull if Rocky?
That's exactly what comes up every time. My brother. Yeah, it's like you have to define what this means because I'm coming in for Kung Pao Enter the Fist, which I think is one of the greatest martial arts movie of all time because the guy takes out a goddamn cow next to a goddamn waterfall. How awesome is that, right? He actually gets his shit kicked out of him by the cow first and then takes out the cow. But George, look at his face. George is so not having... He is not... Yes.
Beaver nunchucks, come on.
I'm saying... But so George hasn't. See, look at George's face. He's gonna have none of this. He's like, you need to be serious.
What about Bloodsport? I mean, Bloodsport's up there as one of the greatest.
Yeah,
dude, UFC almost became that.
Yeah, that's Jay's number one. Is he calls Bloodsport off the top? Usually, it changes. Right?
So let me throw out a controversial remark here. I think that the most recent Rocky is right up there, dude. That's a great movie.
Creed?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, no, just the Rocky. I mean, the Creed ones are good, but the most recent Rocky. Like
Rocky Balboa?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Rocky Balboa.
It's a great
I
movie.
like that.
I think it's a good movie. The stakes should have been a little higher, like a little more depth. But yeah,
I like the one with Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
That's good.
oh, no, those are the best
Go with
stakes.
the third one. Clubber Lang. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Hulk Hogan.
I
good
just
one.
like how no one really addresses or acts like Rocky 5 even exists. It's like they kind of just... No, let's not talk about that.
With Tommy.
With
Tommy
Tommy
Gun?
Boy.
Dude, you want to see something depressing? Watch the ESPN 30 for 30 on him.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
Yeah,
No. He died at like 70 pounds. That's all. Yeah, he was all. I think he died in Las Vegas. He was a mess.
dude.
Yeah.
What about the American Ninja series with Michael Dudikoff? I loved those shits when
I think you're gonna have the problem with that's the problem. Like, I pulled like Raid Redemption. Sometimes you pull stuff that's awesome, but nobody's seen, right? So like, I don't know that I can't imagine actually paying money to see any of those, and then I can't imagine if it showed up on the television that I would be like, oh, everybody, let's be quiet so I can watch this. So
They were
I don't think
basically Skinamax movies with a ninja in it. It was awesome. I mean,
So-
who doesn't want to
George,
see that?
is this the next? Do we have to watch the American Ninja series now,
Yeah,
George?
probably. Yeah.
Have you guys? Any of you guys seen Black Belt
Oh,
No,
with Kuro? I think it's the Japanese name is like Kuro Obi.
No.
It's like the show. It's like the old school. Like it's from 2007 or 2005 or something like that. But they it's like Japan when they the Japanese army came in and like made all the martial arts instructors teach the military, and it's like one like very esoteric dojo. Like they have two instructors and one, or the main guy has two students who like have the secret. They're all both trying to like win the black belt from the instructor when he passes, and the one goes and teaches the military, and the other one like tries to follow his master's way. It's pretty good actually. But
Are you talking about this one here? Like Kuro Obi, right?
Yep,
2007, does that look right?
yeah, that sounds right. Yep,
right,
this is
because
it.
there's one from
That's
92. So not
no.
this one.
Not that one. The one where he's not that one.
On the Dragon.
look at go down to Black Belt Jones.
Black
though.
Belt Jones, man.
Guys, just so you know, we're on the internet, and I'm not certain that we can actually
Censor.
continue to surf the internet freely on Zoom. Remember, we're live on Facebook right now, so I will continue to click carefully
Oh, boy.
around. But
There's a two.
oh,
that's why that's the whole point, because it has what's his name in it. Look at that.
Thug Ho.
Yeah.
Jim Kelly was awesome in Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, you're
Right.
Why aren't we
Yeah.
talking about that as one of the
Black Belt
best?
2, Bolo. What's his name?
Bolo
Olo
Young.
Hung, right? Is that
yeah,
how do you say his
man,
name?
that guy
Sorry.
was awesome.
All
In
right.
Enter the Dragon too.
Yes.
Bach was a really good one.
It
So
was.
Yes,
people
that
have
was
been
good.
talking that up. People have been talking that up. I haven't seen it yet.
It was good.
Nobody,
Good.
no one here, no one has seen the Raid Redemption. No one's seen this.
No.
No, what is that?
Guys, I'm telling you, it is the most violent choreography of all time. So you, please tell me you know what I'm talking about. No. Okay. Damn. Well, I'm gonna have a movie marathon here at the studio up on the big screen, and I'm gonna watch it by myself. So, all right.
One movie to watch on a big screen that's cinematically beautiful is Hero. Jet Li.
Yeah, that's great.
No question.
Yeah, it is.
The colors and just, I mean, it's obviously flipping in the air and wires and stuff, but like the colors in every section of that movie is just unbelievable.
Zach, what's your vote, dude?
What's that?
What's your vote, Zach? Number one martial arts movie.
The Last Samurai.
Oh, that's a good
That's a
one.
good one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, that's, I don't know.
Does anyone else, this is my view on The Last Samurai. I love everything about The Last Samurai except for Tom Cruise.
Yes.
I think that's why you're gonna get that reaction. You know.
Yeah.
Because you've got to deal with the idea of Mr. Cruz. You know, just sort
I
of.
feel like it's a good movie in spite of Tom Cruise.
What's the opposite of cultural appropriation?
Not that.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, like he's not appropriating the culture. He's just not being the culture.
It felt like Dances with Wolves, but in Japan. And the problem I had with it was that the samurai were at that time like the greatest light infantry on the planet. So like him helping them, I mean, it's kind of a little bit wonky, but I thought it was beautiful. Like I also like them talking about like Buddhist principles in,
No question.
I still wish there was more of that. Like the no mind, like having no mind when you train. Don't try to like free yourself from, thinking too much when you're training. And they're like swordsmanship in that Iedo stuff was great. But
All right, so I got my vote.
All right.
5 Deadly Venoms.
All right.
What is it?
5 Deadly Venoms. It's an old Shaw Brothers flick.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
It's on
anything-
Netflix right now, so you can
Good. All right.
watch it.
I feel
5
like
Deadly Venoms.
anything that says Shaw Brothers is going to have to be at least somehow considered. You know what I mean? They set the bar really low and they kept it low, and it's awesome the whole time. And then there's every movie has something awesome in it. Also, it looks like. Oh, that's the podcast episode 114. Yeah, look at these. I do not speak Chinese, so I'm going to imagine this is the same thing.
Yes.
But I apologize to our Chinese viewers if that does not say.
That looks great.
Yeah,
I mean, it really does.
There's a good story to it. Each one of them's got a different. I wouldn't say superpower, but I mean, you could call it the Avengers Light, I guess. But it's of all the Shaw films, which is what I kind of grew up on. That's my favorite.
That looks great.
Look at those guys.
Yeah, hold on. I'll put them back up again. I didn't know if follow it.
Yeah, if you listen to Wu-Tang Clan, you've heard most of this stuff.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, are you saying literally like RZA is calling out 5 deadly venoms in particular?
They sound fighting.
Yeah, I stay close to wall like number 4 the Lizard.
Oh, I had no idea. Wow. I love the way that the costume designers were like, let's just go with colors.
Yeah, the budget wasn't too high on this. I'm willing to bet. But
yeah, they each have like a animal superpower. Like that's the Toad, and he's impervious to all attacks except for one tiny area.
I really want to see.
And you
this
get to
now.
see you get to see them use an Iron Maiden on him, which is pretty dope.
Oh, I don't know if I want to see that, but yeah.
I want to see that.
yeah.
I hope that Netflix is prepared for the Great Northeast BJJ podcast bump.
And you watch that, and they'll give you a whole bunch of other Shaw Brothers flicks, which are on there too. So there's a lot of good stuff.
Did anybody see the original Seven Samurai? The original?
Oh, yeah.
Akira Kurosawa film is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the problem. So many people will go in for the ironic and the comedy and the coolness. Some people will go in for like the epicness, right? But I mean, come on, Seven Samurai is like the basis of all of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of that movie that they sort of took from to make Star Wars?
Magnificent Seven.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Most Westerns were based off of Kurosawa film.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Magnificent Seven was based off of the Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
So I just saw, and Rich and I were talking about this earlier, because it was funny because he brought it up to me last night, and I was like, I don't really know what he's talking about. And
That's
then
a new one.
I'm trying to interrupt George quietly without causing trouble.
I'm gonna.
That's
can
a
we
good
cut
one.
you off?
Keep going.
This is not martial arts. I mean, maybe.
That's the
I mean,
one
there's
with
lots of
Dave
guns.
Brenner, the old Magnificent Seven's awesome.
It is.
And
Bronson?
Like Steve McQueen. Yeah. Those were rad. Okay, anyway.
I think George forgets what kind of power I have over this podcast. But let's continue on. Go get him, George.
You know what, Riddler? Whatever, man. You'll get yours. Riddler.
See, the trick is you keep track of where your elbow is. Wrist locks aren't about your wrist; it's about where your elbow is. Because if your elbow's free, the wrist lock doesn't work.
Wrist locks that go against that.
I know, but I talked to him about it because he's the only person that'll teach defense.
The elbow's connected to the wrist lock bone.
Yeah, like he's like, this is what matters, man. Keep it free, and you can move, right? He goes,
defense is for losers, Riddler.
Stuck. Yeah. Speaking of the samurai code.
Oh, wait. Let me forget the samurai thing. Let me go back.
Okay.
I'm gonna make another bold statement.
Lost.
Another bold statement here coming. I just saw one of the most I don't know if it was the most realistic fight scene, but it was like there was jiu-jitsu in it. There was
Extraction?
Tornado throw thing in it. What was it called, Rich? Extraction, right.
Yeah.
It was like a great fight scene, man. Anybody else?
The question best fight scene is really different than best martial art movies. Because there's like a couple of movies that are really have nothing to do with martial arts that have some unbelievable fight scenes. While we're in between here, I've been terrible. I mean, people have been writing while we're podcasting. Everybody's saying hi. Monte says hi. Jerry Griggs. Yo, Jerry down from, we met him down in Mexico with Croyler. He's saying hi from Texas.
Legend.
The king of all white belts. Can't leave you alone, George. Kyle Goslin is calling in from California. He said some shit to me, which I'm not going to repeat because it's just disrespectful. He did say that this is the George Law School of Jiu-Jitsu, Cosmonautics, and Geological Theory. Nate Ryan is bringing up another friend of the podcast, bringing up that this is called the Great Northeast What's the Best Martial Arts Movie podcast. So there you go. And of course, Isaac Cruz says hi as well. So people are saying hi from everywhere right now.
Let me ask you this, because I just read a great book, and it's called 10% Happier. And I know that Greg Johnson reads a lot of books.
Yeah.
Is that Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he did a speech at a big bank thing that I shot. It was like a corporate event, and he was doing a book signing after, so I got his book and had it signed. Talk about it.
He's from Maine originally, I guess.
He is. He was an anchor in Bangor, I think, before he moved down to New York. Or New York, I don't know.
I don't know if people know his story, because I didn't. But his story is like he was a big news anchor, and
what's his last name?
I can't remember his name.
10% Happier. Dan
Harris.
Dan Harris. Okay.
Yeah.
So he had a panic attack live on Good Morning America while he was supposed to be reporting the news. It actually happened, I think, twice. And so he started meditating, and it's super great book, man. I love it.
Oh, I think I saw an interview with him where he talked about that. Okay. Yeah.
really, like he was a war correspondent and all kinds of, really
cool guy.
Really cool, man. Loved it.
Yeah, his watching that video, because I have had, like I said, I've had panic attacks my entire life. Watching that made me panic, like, because I could almost, like, I knew where he was in his head, and I was like, oh God, what a terrible place to freak the fuck out, like live on television. When your like throat feels like it's closing up and your heart's racing out of your chest, it must be miserable.
Miserable, dude. I mean, in front of I don't know how many millions of people.
Yeah.
Who else has got
it?
So you guys should all go read that book. It's great. I even went. He's got a website, and right now he does like a YouTube thing every day, and different people come on and talk, and then do like a 5-minute meditation. And one of them was Moby, and it was really good. It was interesting.
You seen how much that dude's tattooing himself? Holy shit! He's got like fucking neck tattoos and hand tattoos. Moby does
beard.
Yeah.
Is that fucking Moby?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's a How I Met Your Mother reference. Is that fucking Moby?
Someone give me a book to read, because now I need a book.
Oh, I got a good one for you.
All right. Read books.
You got to read Mindhunter. It's by John Douglas. So the whole series on Netflix, Mindhunter, it's based off that. The book is incredible. Rob Mangal, my coach, 23 years in law enforcement, he turned me onto it, and man, it's
Oh yeah, I recognize the cup.
really good, really fucked up, which is really awesome.
Yeah, they've been doing. This show's been on for a little bit, right? Like,
Yeah, they got 2 seasons in.
yeah,
So it's like, it's pretty cool, because once you read the book and then you watch, I watched the show, the first season, read the book, and it's like the second season, and now it's like all these small little bits and pieces in the show. It's like they explain so much more in the book, and I mean, the stuff is just insane. Like the Edmund Kemper, they talk about him. They talk about him in the show. He was the co-ed killer, I think. But he ended up cutting his mom's head off, and he took her larynx out, or her voice box, threw it in the garbage disposal, and it actually shot back out and hit him in the face. They talk about
I was wondering how the arc of this comment was going to end. And that's really some dark humor, man. Like right at the end. Wow.
It's definitely
Mindhunter.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
And the only books I have are like beer books.
What's a good beer to be drinking? Sorry,
What's a good beer?
What's a good beer to be drinking right now? Let's say, what have you discovered in the last, let's say, 5 or 6 weeks? Something new.
Something new. Well, so this is a worldwide collaboration. It's called All Together, and it was started by a brewery in New York called Other Half. And basically, it's a worldwide collab. Any brewer can make a beer. So the first half of the can looks like this, and then you flip it over, and that half can look like whatever they want. And over 660 breweries around the world have brewed a beer that has this all together on it. And basically, it raises money for the service industry. Yeah,
oh wow,
so,
cool.
Yeah, a bunch of breweries around the world. I think 40-something countries and 46 states, I think. So it's a big thing. So the other day, I just went around Portland and collected all the All Together beers that my breweries in my backyard brewed to help out. Or no, right up in Bangor.
Right, and then Mass Landing, right? You know these guys.
Yep.
Sure.
Mass
That's
Landing,
cool.
we have
I didn't know about
Definitive,
that.
Thistle. It's really cool. Like if you see that All Together circle, that's part of that collaboration. So it's over 600 breweries, and I'm sure if you look it up, there's it's alltogether.beers, the website, and they have a big map that you can select your state and like figure out which breweries around you are doing it, and you can pick it up.
Are you saying that? I'm sorry. Did you say that was for some of the? It's a charity, or some of it's going to?
It's going to the service industry. So, I'm not
I
sure
see
what specifically. Like if it's a
There you
charity
go.
or not.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, here you
support
go.
hospitality professionals. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
If you go down to the bottom, there's like a big map that you can.
What's that?
I said my friend Dan Hart's got a place in Alpha BJJ out in just north of Chicago, but he owns a bunch of restaurants, and he's been producing T-shirts that all the proceeds have been, like, he's been giving all of it to his servers, and he owns enough to
There you
where
go.
he owns quite a few restaurants. But he put out a Joe Exotic, free Joe Exotic T-shirts, and a whole line of clothing. Actually, it's pretty hilarious. The same idea. He's just, all of it to like support his service professionals. Super cool.
Look at that. 11th hour in Pittsburgh. And I don't see it. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, if you drop down by state, you can look up by state. You can.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch.
It looks like on the thing 149 in Philadelphia, even though I know they're not all in Philly, but I'm zoomed out.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Other than that, to answer your first question, I would say, like, drink whatever local beers around you to support the peeps around there.
Wow. Fantastic.
It does seem like the hardest hit, the people that are hit the hardest by this shutdown have been restaurants and bars, like the employees of those places, like
and travel places too. They're laying off everyone from hotels.
Yeah, I mean, think about how much of our economy now is hospitality based. Like, I mean, how many new, like, that's been the resurgence is foodie culture, restaurants and microbrewers and
yeah. Well, Portland is the most per capita right now of any city in the United States. Well, probably not right now, but it did at one point before the shutdown.
Zach, what you got a book for me or something interesting to occupy my? Oh yeah,
Encyclopedia Blazertanica.
What is that?
Wait a minute. I have no idea what that means.
Okay, so it is a comedy encyclopedia about soccer. Excuse me, I forgot. Written
I understood
by
you.
two guys who do
With your Beckham jersey.
The Men in Blazers podcast.
It's so close because Blazer does bring up some other thoughts, at least in my head. But
I was like, it's a weed encyclopedia.
Oh, exactly right. That's where I went with it immediately.
Yes, that would be it right there.
Oh, cool.
Look at that. Available on Kindle.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've got to go with this particular version. This is nicer because it has a
stuffed cat. Which is
stuffed cat. Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, it's half encyclopedia teaching Americans about the wonderful sport of football, but it's all like comedic. It's hilarious.
That's probably hilarious.
It is. It's great.
I don't have any good books for you there, brother. I'm buried in my own head right now, so I really don't need any more time like sitting around. So I have been working on the studio though, so I've been listening to a ton of podcasts, and I ran across this one here, which is called Darknet Diaries, and I super dig this one because the dude who runs it is sort of like a semi-hacker, or he's a real hacker and he's not letting it giving it on, sort of letting on, but the people he gets to talk to are awesome. And to be honest, it's super uplifting. Virtually every one of them ends up totally getting nailed for hacking, doing something horrible, going to jail, coming out, and then getting hired to do the opposite, right?
I'm writing that down.
It's one of those things where, I mean, people suggest podcasts to me all the time. And podcasts generally will have like a couple of good episodes or whatever. If they're interviews, it's rough because it's so easy to listen to some great interview podcasts, so it's usually something that's really siloed that I like, something that's really specific. This one in particular is a knockout for me anyway. Like I said, it's called Darknet Diaries. The other one, I listened to this dude, Preet Bharara, who is long story. I don't want to get political on the podcast, but if you're the kind of person that needs to be kind of get your head screwed back on after going on that cesspool that we call Twitter that we love so much, this podcast puts my head back on. He's really straightforward. He talks about facts, and the dude has a really tight connection to the government. He was part of our government for many, many years under many, many presidents. So it's called Stay Tuned with Preet. Those two podcasts for me are absolute monsters. Everything else is just me reading sad. I wish Elvis Costello's book was better, but it's not. And I wish Bruce Springsteen's book was better, but his special on Broadway, if you need to get in 2 hours, 2.5 hours of Netflix or whatever, shockingly good. I knew it would be good, but wow, that one person show with Bruce Springsteen. So that's my those are my suggestions for this time.
So speaking of Preet, because it's not a common name, do there any of you other guys know Preet from Estonia?
Yes, he boggles the mind.
No.
This is grilled chicken Preet?
Grilled chicken Preet. Yeah.
What a reverse hitchhiker.
Right.
Baby Bridge
and Running Man and Hawking. He's got a position.
Panda. Full Panda.
Yeah. So he spells his a little different. Priit, I think. Mm-hmm. I've spent some time with Preet, man, and he is an interesting character. Like, he's kind of like, I love his philosophy, and so he's been on our podcast before. You should check it out. He's like the John Danaher of Eastern Europe. But yeah, all these things.
I'm defending my comment, which I need you. I felt I needed to be defended, but yeah,
it's funny you say that about Preet, because Preet reminds me of like the Eastern European version of Henry Akins. Yeah. Henry Akins reminds me of the West Coast version of John Danaher. Yeah. So it's kind of like a full circle.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. Like he's very scientific about things.
Yeah.
This particular thing I don't need to watch because I give my backup all the time when we roll. So I feel like I don't need to see this DVD if that's what.
Well, I mean, I my wife and I, we spent some time with Preet, and he, learning from him, and we tried to bring it back to Port City for sure.
This particular technique that he taught here, where as you're coming around, you're putting your elbow out the other side, that whole thing, combined with the whole set that you teach, George, that you passed along to us. It's for the old dude who I'm going to gas faster than anybody else. So there's a lot of defense in my game, waiting for the moment, get out of there, get on top, get moving. But yeah, man, some of the positions as you're moving in between through the transitions that you got from him that you pass along, priceless for me anyway. So I'm a purple belt. I got plenty of space to learn, but seriously.
So now we started this thing with me shitting on Rich McKeegan and his musical tastes. Let's go back. Let me just take it back full circle here. Rich, what was the first record, CD, 8-track, whatever it was that you had? Like, do you remember? Like, like a real one, not like...
Have you been listening to so I have this other podcast, so we talk about this all the time. It's called the Muse Podcast, if anybody's interested. But are you, let me just solve it quickly, because it's a big question. Do you mean the first one that he bought, or the first one that his mom or his brother gave you? That's the binary for us. What do you mean?
Well, I'll say this. The first, I would say, real record, and this is why I bring it up, that I got was given to me by my aunt, and it was Van Halen 1.
Yeah.
Right?
And you mean real record?
Kiss Alive too. But
yes, the real record. You know that sound is actually a car horn, right? They slow the tape down.
The first thing I bought, though, I think, was like a cassette tape. I think I was like AC/DC Back in Black or something was the first cassette tape I think I ever,
So wasn't this a question for Rich?
This is a question for Rich.
Holy shit, so long ago.
Can I guess?
I mean, most like memorable cassette tape would probably be Appetite for Destruction.
Hell yeah.
But you had to own music way before then, man. You're not. Come on.
No,
yes.
Yeah, see, I'm a Navy brat, so it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Like, we were living in Italy when, like, the two big ones that came out was Duran Duran and Michael Jackson's Beat It. So it's like, but then when we came to the States in the early 80s, it's like, I remember that was the first cassette that I crushed that thing. That and my Walkman. was after Destruction.
So you
Oh,
missed
good.
like
It still holds up.
Oh, it
dude.
does. Yeah.
Still a great album.
One of the greatest rock albums of all time.
It has to be up there. I mean, it's almost perfect from start to end.
I actually I actually was just these whole show your 5 favorite albums or some crap like that, and it was albums that you can listen to that you don't skip through. And Appetite is near perfect.
Yeah.
So do you have a tattoo, an Appetite for Destruction tattoo?
So shortly after high school, I was in a Guns N' Roses cover band. So this is literally a skull with a rose on top of it.
Fuck yeah.
I'm a big fan of Megadeth.
You're on one of my fetishes here. I need to fetish this. What was the name of your band? What was the name of your cover band, man?
Patience.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good, but
that's so bad. I'm sorry. But
that was bad, but it wasn't as bad as your setup for it. I thought it was going to be way worse.
wait, who said Megadeth, though? Who said Megadeth?
Oh, right here.
Oh, Megadeth.
System has failed. Yeah, Abominations.
That band is so underrated. I'll listen to some Megadeth
Who's
now.
buying?
They always had the
Hangar
best
51.
t-shirts.
One of the best really hard songs on Rock Band.
Hangar 18.
Hangar 18, yeah. Really good.
What instrument did you play, or did you sing, or what did you do in Patience?
Sang. Oh, sweet.
Oh.
Before the drugs and the cigarettes ruined my throat. I can still hit some notes, but then I need a day off.
So you're doing a very long impression of Axl Rose then.
Yeah.
Like
basically.
this is the long. He's continuing to be in a cover band. He's just, not doing it, and he's destroyed his voice. That would be the long con Axl Rose impression. I loved that album. That album, like the minute I heard it, I was like, this is fucking rock and roll. Like it was the perfect mix of like classic rock, but also hard rock, and it was awesome.
Well, so much hard rock was just fake bullshit, and all the record deals and all that shit. Everybody thought people were buying it because they kind of bought it. She's my cherry pie. You're like, yeah, it's this sort of fake rock. But Appetite for Destruction was like as mean and violent as anything.
I will say though, because Jane, like, he got roped into doing Cherry Pie as a single.
Oh yeah, I just saw Janie Lane on something today. That's why I brought him up. But yeah,
Warrant was a great band. Like that. There are other songs like Down Boys. That song's awesome.
Yeah. My point being that what I'm saying though. That's what California record companies were selling, was this like fake. We're so badass, and you're like, you're not badass. Fucking Guns N' Roses was really badass. They were kind of scary.
They were awesome.
So speaking of 80s bands, like, has anybody ever in here rolled with Ricky Rocket, the drummer for Poison?
No.
I believe he's a black belt.
He is a
black belt. Yeah.
Yeah,
he is.
From who?
I'm not
he's a legit, like, he's been a black belt for like a while, and
So,
he
like,
trains all the time.
Ed O'Neill, kind of like he started very early.
He's one of those like Sean Patrick Flannery kind of guys who's like legit as long as as well as also
Like Billy from Biohazard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw footage of him back when I started competing at Worlds. Ricky Rocket.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he lost, but
so awesome.
Who cares?
He's legit. Yeah.
You know who I rolled with in LA that is surprisingly agile for his girth is Joey Diaz.
You got to roll with Joey Diaz.
And
awesome.
He's
Uncle Joey.
Surprisingly nimble for a guy that is built like that. You know what I mean? Like,
does he trash talk while you're rolling?
Actually roll with him also. My wife lived in Burbank, so I used to train at Alberto's when I went to visit.
That's where I trained in LA, is at Legacy.
Is that Alberto Crane School?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. And that's where I got my.
Did he trash talk? Was he like cocksucker while you're
what are you doing?
We knew each other.
I did some lasso guard stuff and was showing a couple of the guys it because they're like, oh, let me see it. And he just goes, man, I can't do that spinach hit, cocksucker. I was like, can I get a picture with you after?
He goes, so he goes, he introduced himself, and I said, yeah, we know each other. We did This Is Not Happening together on Comedy Central. And he was like, oh my God, you're the Roy that does jiu-jitsu and stand-up. Everybody's always saying that somebody with the last name is big into jiu-jitsu and comedy. He thought it was this comic Chuck Roy from Denver, who's this big gay bear guy with like scruffy beard. And I was like, you think Chuck, 350-pound bear Chuck? And he was like, I didn't know who it was. And we started rolling, and he's like, man, I used to be a lot quicker, but the coke and the broads, you know how. And he's like, you know how it is. And I was like, no, I don't know. I don't know anything about that shit, dude. I didn't do cocaine. I just drank my face off. But he is like, he actually, from guard position, I was actually impressed. Like, I did not think he would move as well as he did. And he had lost a little bit of weight by that point as well. He was trying to be healthier. But, yeah, what a happy guy to train with. He just loves it, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, I just looked you up for Ben Roy, This Is Not Happening, and the title of that threw me for a second.
A
masturbation accident?
Yeah. Okay, so the story is, the bridge story is that I was actually in Connecticut for a wedding, and I may have been masturbating in the hotel room to people having sex in the room next to us.
It's what the hotel rooms are for.
Yeah, but then when I pressed my ear to the wall, I realized they weren't having sex, that the guy was beating her up, and I had been masturbating to it accidentally for... And if you've seen This Is Not Happening, you know the show is really dark. And so he did jujitsu a lot too.
Stop or finish.
Ari Shaffir?
You should watch the story.
All right, I'll give you some. I'll find it.
But yeah, Ari, I guess, was like a 10th Planet guy because of Eddie and all of those.
Yeah, him and Joe did it a while ago, and then he like kind of stopped. But
yeah, he quit by the time like I got to know Ari, he wasn't training anymore. I guess he had hurt himself a couple times, but
yeah, cool.
Greg,
that's so cool.
Greg, what's the first record or tape you bought or CD or whatever it was? And what was it actually?
Good question. I'm the worst. So one of the advantages of I'm really good at remembering. I read a lot, as you mentioned before, and I'm a visual learner and not auditory. So my biggest sort of pet peeve and problem is I don't know name. I know lots of music. I can hear music and remember it, but I don't know names for I'm horrible. So I don't remember the first until I started with iTunes. I didn't know who sung most stuff, or I would know who different people were, but not correlate. So it had to have been probably something from Pink Floyd.
That's a great.
My parents were really big hippies, so I had a lot of records. So I don't remember buying a lot. I just remember putting their stuff on all the time. And a lot of it was Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd.
That's the good stuff.
So
my dad was like a power lifter, and his hidden joy that he told me was he loved ABBA growing up. And he's 5'10" and 300 pounds, benches an ungodly amount of weight. And he goes, yeah, I couldn't really tell people in high school I liked ABBA.
I mean, if you're that big, you could tell people you like whatever. No one's going to fuck with you if you're that size.
I thought that was the case. And he's like, oh, no, you got to be cool. And I was like, all right.
Shout at the Devil by Motley Crue. That was my first.
Really?
That was the first one I bought. And because I loved Motley Crue when I was a kid. And I remember being 11 years old, and they were totally glammed up, and it felt like Ditto Kiss. I think I bought a Kiss album when I was.
Are these cassettes you were buying, or?
I just like things that looked scary.
Yeah.
I was oh, they look scary as fuck,
Right.
I like that stuff.
I still have. I just found recently a Motley Crue patch that was on my jean jacket. Dude, and it's so odd. I want to put it on a gi so bad. it's so complicated. Like it's like I don't know who's gonna sew this thing for me. But, I had the most killer jean jacket when I was in junior high. Like I had the Iron Maiden patch with Eddie on the back, like Live After Death with Motley Crue on it. It was awesome.
All right, guys, I gotta take off.
I may have to bail because I got to do too.
I appreciate. Listen, I appreciate you guys all coming and giving me my bit of group therapy here.
I think it's good for all of us.
Yeah, I agree.
I hope so. I hope that we're closer to the end than we are at the beginning, but I have no idea. But hopefully you guys will all come back again. Let's do this again. But Zach, too, you're coming to the Riddlers, dude, and we're going to play some Guns N' Roses cover tunes.
Hell yeah.
Hey, and if any of you ever end up in Denver, like in Colorado, and you're looking, if you're going to train, please find me on the social media or whatever, like any social media. And
actually, one of the local schools, there's basically two schools in Portland, Alexi's and the Academy, and the Academy's head guy, Jay, got his black belt from Amal Easton.
Yeah, Jay Jack.
Yeah.
I
trained with Jay a bunch of times.
Jay was like the man around here. Like,
oh yeah,
I grew up
still
watching
is.
him
Yeah,
in the cage. That guy's amazing.
Dude was just on. He was just on Fight to Win. Like what, 2 years ago? He's up there fighting. Like, dude's there.
Yeah.
Have a good one, guys. I gotta run.
Rich,
man.
Great meeting all of you. We'll be back on the mat soon.
Yeah, take it easy, man.
All right.
To put it all to bed, one of the things that comes up over and over again, it really does look like once this does finally open up for real, because it looks like we're probably going to open up in stages, smaller groups, one-to-one, that kind of thing. I hate to say it, there might even be a situation where, once testing pumps up, you're going to have like, I'm clean, you're clean, that kind of thing. So it might get weird. But at some point when all this comes open, everybody's saying the same thing, which is like, why don't we get these schools together? Just open mat this stuff, I think it's one of the real positives that's going to come out of this is that a lot of the petty bullshit that you deal with some local people, most schools don't get involved. Some people are really into it. Some people, I understand, they make all their living there and they want to be protective. We have a funny situation where no one's taking their full living out of this academy. It's almost as much of a club, but man, I mean the idea that people are going to open up and just sort of train with each other a lot more and travel around and enjoy it rather than nothing wrong with being loyal, nothing wrong with being, whatever, provincial, but at some point it just gets silly,
I think some schools are going to get or have gotten even closer. And it's been tight-knit groups of people who have been doing Zoom calls. I know a lot of schools have done Zoom calls just to connect with each other.
Yeah.
No jiu-jitsu is really even talked about, just like talking. Like I do that trip I did to Ireland that we talked about. We have another one in Sicily, and we've been doing Zoom calls once a week with Jay and Croyler, and started out just to connect. Like, we just wanted to see each other's faces because we all went to Ireland together. But now it's turned into like the last 2 weeks, they've broken down like a major jiu-jitsu match, and then that's just been like them sharing their own view. And Croyler's huge and Jay's not, so it's like you see the big guy and little guy version of what's happening in the movement and stuff like that. And then, but more than anything, it's just an opportunity to talk. Like the last two have been instructional, but we've spent the first 20 minutes bullshitting, just like making fun of each other. So,
Greg, what do you have coming up?
I have a trip to Sicily, hopefully still the end of August. And then I have another one in October.
Yeah, we saw your one on your webpage. The Sicily one looks awesome, man, too. So.
Yeah, it's going to be hopefully still amazing. So as of now, it's still set to go.
So you guys can find Greg at Pilgrim Jiu-Jitsu, right?
Yep, pilgrimjiu-jitsu.com or Pilgrim Jiu-Jitsu on all the social media, Instagram, Facebook.
If anybody's up in the Bangor area, make sure you check out my friend Zach at Guardian BJJ.
I'm definitely going to hit you up when I'm back visiting, man.
100%. Would love to have you.
Man.
Zach, I've trained with Zach. Zach is a great guy to train with, man. He really is. Like,
thank you so much.
We had great training we were in Acadia.
Yeah. Actually, there was one thing, and I wanted, I didn't know if Ben knew this or whatever. In just over a year, I'm going to be moving south to Florida. So my goal, once this is over, this has really kind of nailed it down for me. You were talking about, getting big groups together. I haven't visited every school in Maine, and that's a shame. So I want to come and visit just about everybody, and the tip in New Hampshire too.
Nice.
So
awesome.
Yeah, man.
Are you moving to Disney World?
Something I want to do.
Yeah, where are you moving?
Where do you think I'm moving?
Center.
Right there.
He's moving to Epcot.
All right.
Yeah, my godkids live in Orlando. I got a bunch of friends in Orlando, so that's where. Once my kid's done with high school, which is next year, crossed fingers because of the whole COVID thing. She's a junior this year, so but she's a super nerd, so she'll be fine. But once she's done with school and we don't have to be in Maine anymore, we're headed to warmer climates.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Ben Roy, go ahead. Sorry, George.
Make sure you guys all check out, if you're into beer, man, Active Beer Geek. He travels the world sampling all the beers, so you don't, or so maybe you do have to after.
Yeah.
Ben is the man. If you're ever in Portland, you got to find my friend Ben. He's a good egg, right?
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, come train in our little spot in Westbrook. Kind of a hole in the wall with 6th-degree black belt teaching, so.
Yeah, hole in the wall, six-degree black belt, and really good natural lighting. The photos look fantastic.
It's
right?
like walled windows.
And they're all from one side. So it's kind of soft. I've never been there, but I know I would look very young there. So,
dude, come over, seriously.
I will. If you will take my photograph, I will absolutely train with you.
Okay, man.
Ben Roy, brother, thanks for coming on tonight. I'm stoked you showed up at Port City that time, and when you come back, we're gonna play music, dude.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna come and see you guys again. And seriously, please hit us up if you're out here. Let's in Colorado or in LA. I really.
If you guys come through Philly, come through too.
Just talking. Yeah,
I've only been to Philly once, and I got arrested, so I don't know if I'll come back.
Just don't go. Yeah, I mean.
I would love to get some training in at Balance. I've heard so many good things, but thank you all for letting me be a part of it and talk jiu-jitsu.
Ben, it's a privilege. Do you have anything coming up? What's going on?
I have a podcast right now on Starburns Audio called The Grawlix Saves the World. So if anybody wants to check that out. And then my other podcast, 97.9 The Rat Race, will be on All Things Comedy very soon. So
congratulations. Yeah, the Grawlix is Grawlix.
And then my band Spells will be at Fest 19 in beautiful sunny Florida, in Gainesville, Florida in November. So if you're going to be down there for music festivals, come see it.
Absolutely. Spells rules, right?
Yes.
Nice going.
And so our friend Rich McKeegan, who already left us, if he does do black belts for butterflies in Philly, I will 100% be there for that.
That'd be awesome.
Hope you guys all can check out Black Belts for Butterflies, because it really is like an amazing thing he does, and he would never tell you that or talk about it, but powerful stuff. And when and check it out and see for yourself. Riddler, you're all right, man, in my book, no matter what you said or did during this podcast.
Miss you, Riddler. Miss you guys.
Still okay.
Just paddling as fast as I can there, George. That's what
Thanks,
I do.
Everybody.
Hey, take it easy.
Thank you, guys.
Peace.
Later. See you, man.